Hey, what is up? Oh my goodness, that's so loud in my ears. Give me 1 second. How's it going? Man, you guys are awesome. You guys are in here early. I think the notification went out early too, which kind of threw me off. But hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Happy Saturday. Let's see here. Hopefully the lights look okay. For some reason, every light I had got reset. So, we'll go with it. How's it going? Home Lab News, Stream Hype. Yeah, man. Tinkerfoo, hello everyone. Tree for Free, how's it going? Kayla Rain, how's it going? Big Red Rusty, how you doing? Dow Cola, oh hello there, how's it going? Man, what's everyone working on this weekend? Probably a lot of awesome projects, either tech or non-tech related. Yeah, let me know. Geos1, painting wood shingles. That, be honest, that does not sound like fun. Sounds like something that needs to be done, unless you enjoy painting. I don't know. For some reason, painting and packing, I'm just like, turn. I turn off. Yeah, but hopefully it's going well. Hopefully it's going well. Tinkerfoo, greetings from Switzerland. Hey, greetings from the United States. How's it going? Dow Cola, speed test official CLI and trying to look on how to parse its output on Python, but Docker images ain't on my side again. Yeah, I hear you. Man, Python's not really on my side too, so, I mean, you probably know Python. I don't know Python. I had to figure it out over the last couple weeks. Wrote some mediocre code to figure some stuff out, but yeah, man, speed test to parse stuff. It sounds like a good job for Python. I mean, code in general, but Python's pretty good at parsing stuff. Yeah, but parsing text can be tough. Yeah, and hopefully they don't ever change what the output looks like, but yeah. Shuckle Samurai, how's it going? Hey, good to see you, good to see you. Kayla Rain, potentially surviving. Hope everything's okay there. Mrs. Pickman, that looks like a new name. New subscriber following your guides and getting into all this Docker, Kubernetes, Rancher stuff. Amazing, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's, the tech, I think in general, is amazing too. So yeah, glad you're enjoying it. Let me know if you have questions or there are roadblocks or speed bumps or anything like that. Yeah, let me know. Let's see here. Awesome videos. Oh, Shuckle Samurai, welcome. Yeah. Awesome videos, well laid out. Just finished installing Firewall. Awesome. That one's kind of complicated. That was early in my days on trying to get things to work, like advanced networking to work in Kubernetes. It was not fun to figure out. I have a couple things left I need to figure out with Pi-hole too, especially how to get my local DNS stuff automatically hooked up to my DHCP, because it's getting kind of bothersome right now, and especially with some of the stuff I want to do in the future. I don't want to always refer to stuff by IP address. I want to refer to it by DNS name, because then I can, all the good things that come with DNS. You can swap out the IP. It just doesn't matter anymore. So that's in my backlog. But yeah, how's the Pi-hole stuff going out? How's the Pi-hole stuff going? Just finished painting my bathroom renovations. Man, everyone's got a lot of home projects. That's awesome. That actually sounds pretty okay. Painting a bathroom, because it's small, it's isolated, and I mean, there are a lot of corners and a lot of nooks and crannies in bathrooms usually. But hopefully it's going okay. Nola Wright. No, what? I always say Nola Wright. Doesn't even make any sense. Nola Route. Awesome. Just in time. What's up, everyone? How's it going? Yeah, man, you guys got in early. I think my notification went out early, which caught me off guard, because usually it's really late. Usually it's like 30 seconds before starting. And I had a lot to like kind of reconfigure in here too. For some reason, audio was a little off, lights were a little off. Yeah. So, man, Creepinson, how's it going? How you doing, man? I know you've been struggling. I wouldn't say struggling. You've been challenged, I guess, by getting CI and CD working. Hopefully that's going for you, man. I know we've been talking in Discord and you're trying to find some ways to get things automatically deployed in the CI pipeline. Hopefully that's going well. Shuckle Samurai, taking a break from resetting my workspace to play with the dog. Yeah. It's always time to play with puppies, man. That's good. It's good for them. I have a couple dogs myself, and when I look at them, I'm like, I should play with you more. Not that I don't, but you know what I mean. They always just have that face, like they want to do whatever you're doing, and when I'm doing stuff like this, they can't do what I'm doing. So I know exactly what you mean. Tinkerfoo was a busy week on the job and had no time to work in my home lab. Yeah, sad times. I totally agree. Man, that's, I totally agree. Yeah, I have very little time to work on my own. This morning, I actually was the first time that was like, I'm working on my own stuff, because Saturdays I kind of get to do that a little bit in the morning if I get up early enough. I actually had some time to work on my own stuff, and I was like, shut everything down. I was moving hardware around. I was pulling video cards from something, putting it in my server, because I want to try some additional stuff here coming up. And then, yeah, so I actually got to do actual hardware stuff. I was like, oh yeah, this is what it was like about 9 months ago before I started this channel, was me just tearing my servers apart all the time. Yeah, I hear you on not enough time. Wish we had more time in the day. Either that or I think Craven mentioned, sounds like you need to quit your job. Joking, not joking. Maverick, is your social panel in the background powered by Pi? Yeah, it is. So that little guy way back there, yeah, I took this Raspberry Pi and I framed it in like this shadow box. I was going for like this tech meets art plus kind of useful thing. And so I mounted a Raspberry Pi inside of this shadow box picture frame, ran all the wires and stuff, and then bought this LED panel and got that all going, and then hooked up a Raspberry Pi. And so it's totally isolated. I mean, I can open it up, but I rarely ever do. I haven't had to for, I don't even know, a year or so. And yeah, and then I wrote a ton of code that when social events happen, they show up there. And it's pretty awesome. At first, it was pretty lonely. It never turned on, and I was like, "Does my code even work?" But anyways, yeah, it's totally. I should list how I made it in the part someday. I just haven't been able to catch up to ever do it. I think I have I have close-up videos in social media. If you look on, I think my Instagram or my Twitter, they're probably there. But yeah, super fun project. Maybe I should share the code someday. But the code isn't as easy as you think it'd be. Like that Raspberry Pi window is more of a. It's just an endpoint, really. It's a little web server running Node that listens for events. And so all of my other services that are running within my own infrastructure in my home lab elsewhere are sending events. So Twitter follows, boom, send it. Twitch follows, send it, you know. And so I have all these other services everywhere else, microservices, I guess. Some are kind of monoliths, but that's only for simplicity for my own sake, so I don't have to manage like tons of mini services. But that guy, he's basically a web server that then can show images on a screen. So he's just listening all day. As soon as he gets a post with post body, looks at the post body, says, what type of event am I? Oh, I'm a Twitch event. Here's the image. Here's the message. Boom, displayed on a display. So yeah, it was super fun to figure out. And I like built it all before I even thought I was ever going to use it for that. I was just going to use it for like weather. Like, you know, I guess not boring stuff. But then I was like, hey, well, you know, I have some stuff on social media. It'd be kind of cool if I could show some of that stuff off. And so anyways, long story short, it is powered by Pi. I think it's a Pi 3, not a 3B. Might even be Pi 2, I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. And the parts, most of the parts, I mean the Pi, obviously you can get anywhere. But the other parts, the LED panel, I think I got from Micro Center, and I think they're, I forgot what brand they are, super popular. Anyways, but yeah, super fun project. Maybe I'll document it someday and put it somewhere so other people can see. But at the end of the day, it's just a web server connected to an LED panel inside of a picture frame. But I think I made it look kind of nice. It's like as artsy as I can get for tech. Let's see here. So yeah, Maverick, yeah, thanks for asking. If you want to see more, I can post something somewhere. Tree for free. Changed the ceiling light in my room today. Wow, that is awesome. I've only done that twice, actually. The one in here and the one in the bedroom. It's kind of scary. I think it's scary. I don't know. I'm not very handy. I mean, I can rig stuff together. I'm not super handy. I can figure stuff out. And so ceiling fan one was kind of awkward, especially the other one because it's like above the bed. So I'm like standing on the bed. That's like, you know, I'm sinking in the bed and I'm like trying to unscrew this thing and it has the weird little safety thing. Anyway, how'd it go for you? Hopefully it went well. Craven, yeah, sounds like you need to quit your job. Yeah, I totally agree. I think we all agree on that. Do what we want to do all day long. Wouldn't that be great? No route. I'm pretty sure my neighbors heard you. Why? What did I say? Am I like on speaker? Kayla Rain, I wonder if I could set up a Pi cluster to run a Minecraft server and have it use multiple boards, or would it be limited to one board? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I do feel like world servers, I don't know if Minecraft servers are architected that way. I mean, they may or may not be. Because, you know, I don't know who would then own like the world state. I mean, maybe they are. I mean, obviously, huge Minecraft servers. You know, maybe they build. You know, they scale or vertically, right? So they just beef up the machine that's on there, more RAM, more CPU, more disk, all that. But maybe they scale horizontally, where they throw more instances of Minecraft there. Yeah, it'd be nice to look into. I don't know the answer to that. Most services that I run, you know, can't. They have a problem with concurrency, right? Because two things running at once don't know about each other. And unless they're totally stateless and they can handle messages and process messages on their own and send them to some other system that kind of owns their state, it's hard to do. It's hard to do. But yeah, I mean, you would have to think that you could scale those horizontally, because think of all the Minecraft servers that are out there. I don't know. Interesting to think about. But yeah, if you could, and you could run them on a ton of little pies, that'd be cool. Ivo, hey yo, how's it going? Ilud, how's it going? McCraftan, that looks like a new name. What other Swiss here? Yeah, how's it going? Craven, is that noise just me? I refreshed and I gone, so I guess it is. Yeah, I'm not hearing a noise, so yeah, let me know if there's weird feedbacks. Every now and then I get it because I leave the windows open, just because like this is my favorite time of year, at least in the Midwest. Nice cool days, I leave the window open all day long. I would all year round if I could, but it gets cold here in the winter and it gets pretty warm here in the summer too. Well, that looks like a new one. Collision NL. Hey, thanks for the follow, Mick. Mcraftan. I kept saying McCraft. I kind of like McCraft, but Mcraftan. No, let's go McCraftan. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Collision NL. Hey guys, second stream I can catch. What's the subject today? The subject is honestly whatever you guys want to talk about. That's kind of how it's been. Hey, IBM XRR. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Topic, man, the topic for 2 months has been whatever you guys want to talk about. I figured out, I think I realized or came to the realization that, just being able to talk about things that you guys are interested in or want to discuss is where I find I have the most enjoyable time. Hopefully you do too. Sometimes there are topics. I have a couple things planned, but you know, I kind of enjoy just kind of hanging out and talking about all these things. Like it's interesting, and the things I do on my own may not be interest to everyone else. So I feel like this is a good mix of just like, you know, content, because it's like new content with everything I read. It's like it's incredible. But yeah, let me know, Collision NL, if that's okay, if you like that. Shuckle Samurai dogs guilt trip hard. Totally, they do. When they just, yeah. My dog does this thing where he'll lay his head on his bed, head hanging off, looking up at me, and I'm just like, oh man, poor dude. Let's go do something. Let's go outside. But yeah, dogs are awesome. Maverick 12 just got some LED panels to do something similar. It gets data from your servers. Yeah, but instead of it actually is a server itself. So think of that. Instead of this going out and pulling, this is an endpoint that my other servers host to. So my other servers get notifications, or they scrape or whatever. They get data somehow. Then they determine that there is a notification that they need to send those other servers. And then they send something to that guy, to that web server. So that web server, I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's a Node.js web server running Express. It has a couple of endpoints. One is probably /notification, and it accepts a post body. And then so one of my other services will post to that endpoint and say, notification, here's the type and here's the message. And this guy, that's all he does. He waits all day for posts. So yeah, it receives data, and that maybe I know that's probably a little nuanced there, but it's he receives data. He doesn't get data, but I know what you mean. I'm just making that clarification. But yeah, I'd love to share it. I mean, it's nothing secret. I share most of my code anyways that I can, that I own myself. Yeah. Tickerfoo, how's it going? Olipop, that looks like a new one. Olipop, hi Tim, just discovered your channel, and I have already watched like 5 of your videos. Thank you. Hopefully they're okay. My early ones, I look at them and I'm like, ooh, they're all like, I cringe personally. But anyways, I noticed in one you have a time machine service or something like that set up to back up Macs. I'd like to have that too so I can automate backups for my family members. Could you explain a little bit more? Thanks for sharing info and good work. Hey, thank you, first of all, for the compliments. Thanks for watching those. Yeah, absolutely. So the way that I use, so I do use Time Machine. I have a couple Macs here, but really only one. I honestly care about the data on there. One I use for software development all the time, and then my source code lives in GitLab, GitHub, wherever. So I'm not worried about the data on there. Real quick, CDOS, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Then I have another Mac, an iMac here that I care about the data on, and so I set up Time Machine on there. And so the way that I did that was through TrueNAS. So TrueNAS has a Time Machine service. TrueNAS or FreeNAS has a Time Machine service that you can set up. And that's basically all I did. I watched a video on how to set it up because I'm not a TrueNAS expert, just like most of my stuff. I watched a video on how to set it up and I kind of followed the guide. The tricky part there is that you need to create a volume or a share for your Time Machine. And then on top of that, you have to set up credentials. But once you have that Time Machine service running on TrueNAS with credentials, then you go in your Mac, you go into Time Machine, and you say, hey, here's my Time Machine server, give it some credentials, and boom, you're done. And it'll back up your machine. And it'll wake up, go to sleep, back up, do incremental backup. So yeah, and if you don't have TrueNAS, I'm sure there are other services out there. I'm sure Synology or something also has something like that too. But yeah, that's how. TrueNAS, it's pretty awesome. One of the many services I run on TrueNAS. But yeah, let me know if that helps. No route. You're on my speaker? Yeah, I set my volume a bit louder because of the music. Then you started to talk. Well, it was loud. I apologize. Yeah, I gotta balance that out a little bit. I should set the music. Yeah, thanks for that. I know what I need to do now. On my intro, I should set the music to the volume level that I'll be talking at, because then people wouldn't have to adjust volumes. But yeah, thank you. T. Groutman. Hey, how's it going? T. Groutman 2? Was it 2 last time on Thursday? Maybe it was. Have you ever had issues with incoming HTTP requests on your RPI web server or Raspberry Pi? I have a router which is a sibling to my Raspberry Pis, and sometimes computers behind the router can't see the web on the Raspberry Pis. I'm wondering if there's some network service that needs to be registered, it's DNS or something. Ever had a similar issue? So let me think about that. With incoming HTTP requests, to be perfectly honest, I haven't. So my Raspberry Pis aren't exposed publicly to the web or outside of, they're all natted behind my firewall. And so none of them have incoming traffic from outside. And maybe that's something in your environment that might not be configured properly. But if you receive some, not the other, that's kind of odd. Like I said, this guy back here, this Raspberry Pi, totally, he just received a request a little bit ago. That's all he does is receive HTTP traffic, incoming posts. And I mean, personally, I haven't had any problems. I mean, I'm running, I don't know what web server you're running. I run Node.js with Express. And so Express is my web server. And I'm running the latest Raspbian on there. So I haven't had any problems. But at the end of the day, on top of Raspbian, I'm running Node.js. I think it's like 12.16.2 or something. I can't remember. And haven't had any problems. But let me know what your web server, what you're using for a web server. Because I think maybe something we can figure out. Possibly. Fat Cats. Howdy, how's it going? Takano, hey yo, how's it going, man? You got your lights done or what? Are they done yet? No, I know they're not done yet. Collision, perfect. Do rent a VPS or something. Do I rent a VPS? No, I self-host everything. That's my thing. I've been self-hosting for a long time. So nope. I did rent before. I did rent once in from DigitalOcean. I rented a VM there, and I have rented in AWS before. Same with Azure. Azure gave me a ton of free credits for this project I was working on. They were like, "Here's a ton of credits," and that lasted, I think, a year. So I had stuff in the cloud before, but now, no. Everything, me personally, me as myself. Not me as like where I work or anything like that. Everything I have is self-hosted. Everything I use. Everything you see that's going on in the stream, the lights, publicly, blogs, all of it is totally self-hosted. So nope, nothing here as far as VPS. Once I kind of went down this route of self-hosting stuff and I built up my infrastructure to where it was, more than okay. For me, it was a value play. Like, I can keep adding workloads to my infrastructure really cheaply. And for me, like, I had to have some of my infrastructure powered on all the time. Like, that's the downside, is keeping it on and paying the electrical bill. But I had 2 workloads where I had to, if I was going to self-host all the stuff here, like home security and a couple other things, it had to stay on anyways. So then I was just like, okay, I'm just going to incrementally add a lot of stuff to it. And it's grown. It's grown quite a bit. But at the end of the day, I have things separated. I have a lot of my traffic segmented. A lot of my things that are public, all of my things that are public they cannot even communicate with the rest of my LAN. So a lot of people, use VLANs. I actually use actual LANs. Same idea, right? Except my packets aren't tagged and they're just on different physical LANs, even though the LAN itself is virtualized. That's kind of weird to think about. But yeah, so hopefully that helps. Like I said, like once I started figuring this stuff out and getting SSL and getting certificates, load balancer, and all my security scanners and my firewall pretty locked down, there's been no turning back. And I've done that for a long time. I've done it for a really, really long time. Even when I was like living in an apartment, using Comcast internet, figured out dynamic DNS and I did it that way too. So anyways, good question though. Craven, what do you use for secret management for your stuff? I have a vault set up because it's what I used at work. Yeah, so my secrets, so I have a couple of secrets. Right now, I just use the tools so I don't use a third-party secret management tool. I know that there's some out there, and I agree. I've used some at work too. I think it was Vault. I think Vault was the one of them. I don't remember. I forget what the product I used to use at work. Anyways, for my secrets, I keep Kubernetes secrets, and then I keep CI secrets, which are in GitHub or in GitLab. And so that's where my secrets kind of live right now. I'll be honest, some of my secrets are in code, and some things I have to keep in code just because the way that some of these web projects I have work. Those are obviously private repos, only I have access to them. Not the best solution, I totally agree. But for now, it's really Kubernetes secrets or Rancher secrets, Kubernetes secrets, and GitLab secrets. That's where I kind of keep mine. My secret, all of my runtime environment variables with sensitive information, I think. So that's what I use for now. I'm definitely open to different secret management for sure. There's a lot of good products out there. I just, most of my stuff ends up running in Kubernetes, so I'm just like, okay, it is super easy to add it there. Anant Bula. Howdy, Tim. Hey, how's it going? But Craven, yeah. Let me know if you have some suggestions for sure. I definitely value your opinion on that. Paper Baboon. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Maverick. That is awesome. Hey, thanks. I think you're talking about the LED panels back there, I think. I probably talked about them too much. But yeah, maybe I'll share that soon. Anant Bula, Sophos XG Home versus OpenSense versus PFSense. Which one would you recommend? Yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, this kind of comes up a lot. And hands down, I can recommend PFSense without any qualms whatsoever. Just because I think it's a good, solid product, has a ton of features. It's well supported. It's open source. I guess maybe not as open source as OpenSense, but arguably it still is. And it's rock solid, and it's battle tested too. A lot of people use it. So I have no problems recommending PFSense at all. If you've watched any of my videos or you know me, you know that I run Sophos XG Home. Won't always be that way. Hasn't always been that way. And the reason I do is just I felt like it was had a lot of features already integrated into it, and they were really, I mean, they were security first with a lot of their stuff. I mean, they're a security company. So and you can tell when you use their product that a lot of that is just baked in. It's not to say that PFSense isn't a good product or that I didn't use it for many years. It's just to say, like, I like to evaluate network firewalls. I always have. I've always virtualized them too, so it makes switching really easy. I can spin one up right now, like untangle, whatever, like I used to run, look at it, decide whether or not I want to switch. If I do, in that virtual machine, set up all my rules, shut them both down, turn the other one back on, and I'm good and going. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to wholesale just say like PFSense is the best and Sophos XG is the best, and that's what you should use. Really, it's going to be up to you and your needs and the complexity and what you want to manage. And do you want to run a commercial product at home? I mean, when you use it, I think you're granted a license per year. I mean, who knows? 2021, they could say, nope, no more of that. Pull the plug on that license. I think that's how it works with their licensing. But anyway, that's a huge topic. Like I love talking about it, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what you need and what you want from a network firewall. And also, I'll just throw in there. Originally, when I moved to it, I wanted their WAF, their web application firewall, where basically they spin up a load balancer per web service that you're running behind there, and you can add certificates to it. And to me, that was super interesting because I bought a couple wildcards. I was like, this is great. I can terminate my SSL right here. Then it can do deep packet inspection on the decrypted traffic and look at it for security vulnerabilities. But then I decided I'm not going to pay for certificates anymore, and I use Let's Encrypt for everything. That doesn't play so well with XG Firewall. They have yet to add that to that product. So if they do, that would be awesome. Then I don't have to terminate it all the way back on traffic or my reverse proxy there. I could do it one level higher because then I can actually inspect that traffic. But anyways, I recommend if you're on the fence about any of those is to just spin them up in a virtual machine. And I'm not saying you have to virtualize in the future, but it's super easy to spin up all three of those in a virtual machine and then put a couple of your VMs behind it. And evaluate it, see if it works for you. But yeah, sorry, that's a long talk, and hopefully that kind of answers your question. So, but yeah, Anant, thank you for that. Olipop, yeah, that's awesome info about Time Machine. Didn't know TrueNAS has that feature. Yeah, I didn't either until I don't remember whose video I saw it on, but I was like, that's awesome. I have a Mac that I had a very poor backup solution. It was using like some third-party tool that I was just like, I can't trust this thing any further than I can throw it. I mean, it was totally fine, but it's one of those free tools that you're like, sweet, this does exactly what I need to do with a few clicks, and that's how I was backing stuff up. But it didn't give me restore. It was just file level backup. Whereas Time Machine, you know, you get a full system restore, which was pretty cool. Pretty cool to think about, and it works really well. Let's see. That message got held back, so I allowed it. I have no idea why Twitch thought XCPNG was bad. But anyways, Troutman, RPI is not exposed to the outside. The traffic is coming from a PC behind the router to the router and the RPI. And I think it's a DNS issue. Yeah, very well could be. Very well could be. I mean, web services, Apache, okay. I mean, Apache should be doing what Apache does, and that's serving web requests. But yeah, it could be DNS. That's kind of hard to, I mean, that may or may not be hard to troubleshoot. Yeah, I mean, you might have to use like some kind of network analyzer to listen for those packets and see which ones are getting dropped. Hey, thanks for Home Lab New. Thanks for redeeming those points. Yeah, let me know. Troutman. T. Groutman. That one's so hard for me to pronounce. Or it might be TG Routman. I'm not sure, but tough one. You might have to, dig deep and use traffic analyzer and listen to it. Something like Wireshark, and see when that gets dropped, what's going on. That's a tough one though. Takano. I mean, he's 34 seconds into the song and it has taken an hour total. Wait, what? 34 seconds into the song and it's taken an hour total. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me know, Takano. CDOS, are you worried about security with your BroadLink and IoT devices? What security do you have for your BroadLink? Great question. I just built something because I was worried about security. Yeah, so that's a great question. So I last couple weeks, months, man, why don't I have green back there? Something's going on with my code. Anyways, last couple weeks, months, I picked up a BroadLink device and I was like, great, I want to control those lights back there, which you can see they're working, kind of. And I was definitely concerned about security and also usability. So the problem is that when you join a BroadLink device let me fix this first, because I'm going to start like not making sense to a lot of people, as I probably am still now. What are you doing? Like, sorry, I don't mean to live troubleshoot this stuff, but I'm like, why isn't part of that green? Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I was definitely concerned with security, and also I was concerned with usability, because with the BroadLink devices, like once you add those devices to the app, they're only cloud connected, and so it really removed a lot of features that I needed. I needed to control them locally, and Home Assistant figured it out, and I worked with someone who worked on part of the BroadLink stuff, and I was like, hey, I'm going to use your stuff, pretty much is how it went. I mean, it's open source, and he released a new version. Long story short, I helped and contributed something to help fix something that they were working on, and at the same time, I realized that, hey, I can use this in my web server. Yeah, so am I concerned about security? Not anymore, because you can just block their whole entire domain and use these in local only mode. As long as you're using Home Assistant, this Python utility, some other utility, or my utility, and which is more than utility. It's a web front end API backend. It's a lot. So no, I'm not concerned anymore. I am concerned in general about a lot of IoT stuff, just because. Yeah, a lot of these devices just, you get them, you plop them down in your network, and they do whatever. And I know a lot of people put those on a separate VLAN, and yeah, it's solid advice. But then I also think you need to like monitor that traffic to see what they're actually doing and reporting back. So anyways, long story short, am I concerned about the security of the BroadLink? Not anymore, because mine are local only. Do they still try to communicate back home in local only mode? To TBD. I'm definitely going to be watching the traffic. But at the same time, I'll just create a firewall rule that says, devices of this can't communicate with the internet. So all of my devices now are local. And that was part of the whole entire goal of doing this, is really so I can control these lights, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, CDOS, yeah, great question. T. Groutman, also my name is Tim. All right. T. Groutman 2, yeah, you added it too. I do Twitch extension development, so I'm either account depending on what I'm testing. All right, yeah, so I was like, I don't remember seeing the 2 last time. And I do know what you're talking about, having multiple accounts to test on Twitch, because I've done that a ton too. I wish Twitch made switching accounts easier. But yeah. Hey, Henry, Henrizzi. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Let's see here. CDOS, I would recommend VLANs to keep your stuff from, talking your stuff. Totally agree, Craven. I totally agree. Keep them on VLANs, and at the same time, then I would even go as far as, like, if you want local only, make a rule that says local only too, to where those devices can't even communicate with the internet. And, it's pretty simple in a firewall rule to do that as well. The only thing that stinks is then you're not getting firmware or whatever else. But yeah, throw them on a VLAN where they can have a crazy IoT party and talk to each other and do whatever they're going to do, and not on your main network. And if you want to go even further, create a firewall rule that says, like, these devices can't even communicate with the internet, period. The only thing that stinks, I've realized, is with these BroadLink devices, it's like you got to choose one or the other. It's all in the cloud or all in local, which kind of stinks, but whatever. Now that I have this service, I can trigger these events now through my own API, through the public internet if I wanted to. Not going to though. Let's see here. Now Falona, those BTC key, I'm not sure what you mean there. Let me know. HomeLab New, is there actually any documentation on how to set up Vault for production usage? Also, does anyone here use Vios for the router, thinking about experimenting with it? Going back to Vault, yeah, I'm not sure. I used it at a company I worked at, and it was just there. It was kind of painful, I remember, to use as a developer. Maybe it's gotten better now, but kind of painful. HomeLab New, Vios? No, they're the big black and orange logo company, aren't they? I remember them. I think I did try it at some point. It always comes back into my view for some reason. Like it falls into my radar, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, okay, what have they been doing lately? I haven't evaluated it in a really long time. I have before, but yeah, I'd like to know your thoughts. No route. We've been using OpenSense in production for a few years and are very happy with it. Granted, I also like them because it's maintained by a Dutch company. Yeah. I don't know the history of the big split between, OpenSense and PFSense. Had something to do with, I think, true open source. I didn't even want to paraphrase what I don't really remember. But when I tried OpenSense for a while, I liked it too. I enjoyed it. I didn't, obviously I didn't stick with it, and I probably need to do some more research on why one would choose one over the other. I always hear that OpenSense is more open than PFSense, but I'm sure that's a super long discussion too. But yeah, I'm glad you've been using it for a couple of years. I used it for a while too. I thought it was awesome, but then I moved on. TrueNAS 1990. Hey Tim, just watched some of your YouTube videos. Thank you. Love your content. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, TrueNAS. Appreciate it. TrueNAS 1990. I like it. It's a whole lot of there's a lot going on in that name, and I like it. Original. Takano. For the light show, I've done 34 seconds. Oh, gotcha. I thought you were talking about me for a minute. I'm like, wait, what? What? But you were talking about the light show that you're building. So you've done 34 seconds into a song and it's taken an hour. Yeah, I bet. Too bad that, I wonder if there's like kind of an auto mode where you can be like, okay, like analyze the music, the beats, and then from there, from there, like make a pattern. I'm sure that would not be that interesting though. But yeah, man, sounds pretty awesome. I've always enjoyed watching them, and I've always thought about doing it, but I've just never never set aside the time to actually figure it out. It's PyBomb. Another big question that comes up in my channel quite a bit. Portainer or Rancher? What's your personal choice? If you look at my videos, I think you can tell my personal choice. But I'll try to answer this real quick. So it's PyBomb. It depends. So my personal choice, let me talk about a couple things real quick, then I'll go to my personal choice, because it'll make more sense. So I think a lot of people ask this question because they don't want to make the wrong choice. And they feel like, should I start with Portainer or should I start with Rancher? And if I do one of these, will I be on some island where I can't get to where the rest of the people are? And I would say, like, at the end of the day, at least Portainer now, they're going to give you the same thing. They're going to give you Kubernetes. So at the end of the day, if you ever wanted to switch between the two, wouldn't be terribly hard. And if you wanted to go plain old Kubernetes, you would just basically delete your Portainer or Rancher installation and you would still have Kubernetes running. But some people will still choose Portainer because they already understand, know, and have used Portainer in the past. So that's a good option for them. There are other people like me who have used Rancher for a long time. I used Rancher 1 and then moved to Rancher 2. And so for me, you know, I've just chosen Rancher because it's what I was familiar with. I do think that and on top of that, they've been in the Kubernetes game for a long time. So all that being said, my personal choice doesn't mean it's anyone else's, is Rancher. Just because of familiarity and maturity. They've been doing it for a long time. I'm super familiar with it. Obviously, Rancher 1 is not so much like Rancher 2. I mean, obviously, very similar UIs. Again, so I felt comfortable moving to Rancher 2, but definitely different tech stacks. And I think you'll have that same leap if you go from Portainer, which was managing a Docker host or Docker Swarm, and moving to Kubernetes. You'll have, you'll see familiar things, but they won't be that familiar under the covers. So, because obviously they're much different tech stacks. So yeah, nothing against Portainer. I think it's a great product. I think they made a great move going to Kubernetes. I've talked to the creator of it randomly one day, and awesome guy. They're doing great things, it's a solid choice for a lot of people. But I started down a path way before Portainer, so I'm sticking this path for now. But that's not to say I don't have Portainer running. Obviously, I should be aware of it. I should know about it. I have it running. Made a video about it, so it's got to stay on my radar for sure. But great question. Now Falona, IoT party, totally. That's what it is. Like, put all your IoT stuff on some VLAN, let them have a party with each other and talk to each other, even though they shouldn't be, and just not let them talk to other things on your device unless you set out very, very specific rules. But it's tough. It's tough. Like, it's easy for someone to say, put them on their own VLAN, and you're like, why wouldn't you? Well, you start thinking about how you control those things. A mobile device, an application on your desktop, a cloud service. And you start thinking about, just throwing them on a VLAN and only giving them internet access, may not work for all of those devices. And so I just want to just caution that if you do that, you might be creating a lot of firewall rules too for some of your devices. To be able to communicate with them from apps. If they do 100% internet, it's super easy and easy choice. If they're kind of like a hybrid, like, hey, if we're on the same LAN, I'll go through local network. If not, I'll go through the internet. Still kind of easy. If they're only LAN only, then you've got some firewall rules to make for sure. Let's see here, null route. Tim, do you have a pretty Grafana dashboard on your home lab? Or maybe a Kibana dashboard. What do you use to keep tabs on your network? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't. Honestly, I don't right now have any pretty graphs. I used to have one for a while, and I used to use it. But for me, it was hard to, other than like looking pretty and seeing trends, and like major trends, I didn't get a ton of value out of it, and that's probably how I had it configured. and I probably wasn't measuring the right stuff. And so for me, it was like, it looked great when I opened it up, but for most of the time, like my API requests, I had it set up for there, and you just see, you see API requests. Yeah, I mean, they're all over the place for response times, and that's how I used it. I use it to monitor a lot of my services. And yeah, on a macro level, you can see trends. So I'm like, okay, it used to take whatever 10 milliseconds last week, and now it's taking 100 milliseconds today, and something must be up. So it's great for that. But I haven't gone and made dashboards for all of my stuff that's running. I probably should. But I do need to spend more time on just overall observability. This one's always so hard for me to say. Observability of all of my stuff, right? To be able to observe all of the stuff that's running and also log some of that stuff too. I need to be better at that. I'm going to put it out there. A lot of my stuff is really small scale stuff here that I run. And most of the time, I know that I can just go to standard out, look at the logs in the Docker container, and I know where to find them, and I know where to look. But I don't have one place to look. I have 15. And so soon, I'll have something to help with that, to be able to say, hey, here are my logs at an aggregate level that are indexed, that I can search and set up alerts for. Those are all things I should be doing, and I've been bad. Here personally on my own services, yeah, I haven't been the greatest at it. Different story at work or production or other places I've worked. It's just been haven't had the time to do it, and so I've been treating now my videos as like, this is the time I set aside to do it and do it right. But have used Kibana in the past. Absolutely love it. Grafana too. I've got nothing against either of those. I just haven't had like a good use case for them here to really understand. Outside of my APIs that serve like public stuff, like my apps, have those set up. But again, for me, it's really hard to see anything outside of trends. And that's where I think I need to get into, more of the granular logging level to be able to look at those logs and be able to say, well, I had some HTTP status logs, and I could say, yep, I got this many 404s today or something like that. But I need something a little more granular right now than Kibana, or not Kibana, but Grafana. But yeah, I'll have something soon. But I see awesome dashboards, and I'm like, dude, these are so awesome. Like some of the ones you see on Reddit in HomeLab, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like people have everything on the dashboard. I would love to have a dashboard like that. I just haven't had the time to set it all up. As you know, we would all love a dashboard for everything. But yeah, it's tough to set up. But yeah, no route. Are you using Grafana dashboards? Yeah, I would love to know how you use them. I've seen a lot of people post awesome ones too on Proxmox that you get, I don't want to say for free, but a little bit of configuration, and you get a pretty sweet dashboard for Proxmox as well. iLood, edge routers are a Vios under the hood. Yeah, good to know. I didn't know that. Yeah. Maverick says, Vios, you've used it. It's awesome. Found some limitations, so switch back to multiple firewalls. Yeah, good to know. Craven, by production, do you mean the one that doesn't delete the password on the container reboot, or do you actually want to deploy this in a production environment? You guys are talking about Vault. HomeLab new, as I want to deploy things as securely as possible, the developers constantly advise against following their tutorials in production environment, but begs the question, how do you actually do it for production, or is that deliberately withheld so that they can sell support contracts? Or am I blind and just can't find the documentation? Oh yeah, you guys are on it with Vault. Yeah, I would like to know the answer to that too. Finnegan McGinnigan. That's a lot of Innigans. IRT. Docker/Portainer. My advice would be to start with simple Docker container, get familiar with the commands to run it. Store those commands in OneNote or something of your choosing and see how your usage varies over a week or two. That would be super helpful. It was to me. Then you can play with the GUIs and see what your preference ends up being. Yeah, great advice. Yeah, absolutely. That's how I started out too. I mean, I didn't start out with a GUI right away. I used just Docker CLI. And that's how I managed everything. And then it got too painful. to always Docker tail logs out and see what's going on. I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way. But yeah, Finnegan, McGinnigan, thanks for the tip there. Yeah, I totally agree. Shortman 1990, how's the performance of Docker containers when virtualized? Doesn't the added layer decrease performance? I was thinking about changing my infrastructure with Docker bare metal as well as virtual machines in the same server, but I don't know how Plex would run in a VM inside of a container. Yeah, great question. I do it. None of my Docker containers run bare metal, and there's a couple reasons for that. Performance hit, I think it's going to be minor. I think it's going to be minor. Then you're arguing the virtualizing anything at all. Just because, the process, the Docker process is running on the kernel, whether it's bare metal or it's virtualized. So you'd see the same performance you hit virtualizing anything. It gets a little bit different for Docker volumes and mounting volumes. I mean, there's again another small hit there, but I think it's worth it, and here's why. I don't have bare metal machines that I could run Docker only on. That would take another machine for me to spin up and keep powered on all the time. And that's definitely doable. And I also know that people have found ways to do it on Proxmox, or basically take whatever your hypervisor is, install Docker, and get it running that way. And that works for some people. I'm not one of the people who are going to do that, mainly because I want my Docker environment to be kind of self-contained, and I do like to separate a lot of my concerns. So I just let my hypervisor be a hypervisor. And I know with Proxmox I can do LXC, and I can install like tons of things on that server to make it more than just a hypervisor. Hey, Blue Orc Warrior, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. But I like to keep my hypervisor just a hypervisor, so that if I ever switch hypervisors, it's easy to switch hypervisors. And I know that sounds odd, like, yeah, right, well, like, when are you going to switch Proxmox? Well, I've switched hypervisors a lot of times in my life. Get Trek tick correct. A lot of Rex in there. Hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. And so I like to always virtualize my Docker host, and whether it's Kubernetes, Portainer, whatever, just plain old Docker, I like to keep it there. One, because it's just this big virtual machine that I can move around if I ever need to. I know that's not easy, easier said than done, but that's a lot easier than trying to figure out how I got like 15 Docker containers installed on Proxmox and then how I move them later on, And so that's how I run it. I mean, it's kind of, you'll see a lot of clouds do that too. I mean, a lot of that stuff isn't running bare metal. Kubernetes, the virtual machines you get from GCP or AWS, that are running Kubernetes are just that. They're virtual machines. And they're going to, especially if you're getting Kubernetes as a service, you have no idea what's behind there. They're probably virtual machines because, they can template them, they can patch them easy and whatever. So anyways, long story short, I never think about the performance hit with virtualization and then even containerizing something within there, unless it's something that's super duper sensitive to latency. Because for me, the benefits outweigh that performance hit. With all of virtualization, you could say, hey, there's a 2-3% overhead with virtualization. Like, I don't want that. And that's totally fine. That might work for you. But I don't want to spin up another physical machine, have that running all the time when I got infrastructure right there that can do that as well. And so that's, everything's a trade-off. Most things are a trade-off. And for me, the trade-off for virtualizing something and containerizing it, the benefits there for me outweigh the performance hit, which I don't think it's even noticeable. And I run a ton of containers, and I run, a handful of virtual machines. I think I have 8 or 9. And some of those are just like demo ones because I need a play environment. And so they're off some of the time too. And I mean, we were just talking about this in Discord too. It's like, well, once you start containerizing stuff, your virtual machines start dropping like flies, because you're like, the whole one service to one virtual machine doesn't scale very well, but the one to many, one virtual machine to many containers scales fantastically. So anyways, I'm not saying it's Not saying it's a bad idea. There's plenty of folks who do it and it works well for them. But for me, I like my stuff contained within a virtual machine that I can move anywhere I want, and I know that it's all inside of there, rather than spread out through a lot of other things. Because I do switch hypervisors, and then I let my hypervisor be a hypervisor. That's me. Anyways, but yeah, let me know. Let me know if you're seeing anything, that I'm not seeing. Tronan, hey, Mile High. Sim Guy, hey, thanks for the sub. Thanks for the sub. Prime, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. How's it going? Haven't seen that name in a while. How you been? I forget what I kept calling you, but it was so wrong. But it's Mile High Sim Guy. How's it going? Thanks for the sub. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Maverick, BIOS is great replacement or virtual edition for a router, but if you are trying to stick directly on the public internet, I would not follow their instructions. If you're using it internally and set it up like secure Linux style, then I'd say do it. Yeah, that's good advice. Finnegan McGinnigan. I and thousands of people run Plex alternatives in Docker, jails, etc. Thank you. With no decrease in outcome. If there's any decrease in performance, the convenience far outweighs it in my mind. You could even do clever transcoding methods with those container services. Hey, you very well spoken. You could articulate that a lot better than I could. So thank you, Finnegan McGinnigan. I agree. Containerizing stuff and even containerizing it in a virtual machine it's fantastic. It's fantastic because you just abstract everything from everything. It's like code, but it's infrastructure. Just abstract everything from everything. So then at the end of the day, it's like my Docker containers are running in a virtual Ubuntu. I can move that wherever I want. It's abstracted from the host that it's on. It doesn't know it's a virtual machine, and the same thing goes with a lot of my other things too. John, afternoon, y'all. How's it going? Takano. There's an automatic mode in Vixen. It just detects BPM and adds markers where the beats are. All right, this is going back to lights. But it isn't that good considering all things. It doesn't catch the sounds you normally want linked to effect. It just guesses BPM and that's about it. Yeah. So not great detection. Also, it made a sketch filter, as I like to call it, an air filter for your house. You just cut up the size of my server air grill. Wait, what? Also just made a sketch filter, as I like to call it, an air filter for your house. Just cut up to the size of my server. Oh, as an air grill, I see what you mean. For just dust filter for your server. Nice. John, I use Grafana and Prometheus for monitoring. It monitors Proxmox Kubernetes. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I was using Prometheus and Grafana to measure my APIs. Like I said, work great. I just I ended up, maybe I wasn't using it right. Like I've said, I've used Grafana like elsewhere and people built fabulous dashboards that people would walk up to and they say, oh, that's how many transactions we had today, or this is how many errors we've had today. But I'm just not, I'm not great at building dashboards. I do love on a Grafana that you can import them pretty easily. Hey, Galenda, hey, gifted sub. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Galenda, gifted sub. Blue Orc Warrior. Enjoy your gifted sub from Galenda. Thank you so much. Thank you. No route. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat for my home lab. I set up dashboard, but it doesn't give me a lot of value, so I stopped maintaining it. But at work, But at work, it's great to spot trends and anomalies. 100% agree. And that, you get out what you put into it, with Grafana. And I'll admit, I didn't put a ton into it here at home. Work, we have people who put a lot into it, and they work fantastic. No route. For both of you, use Grafana plus Influx and Prometheus. Yeah. It's definitely a good combo. Home lab new. So to clarify, you're running Docker host in a VM? 100% I am. You better believe it. Yeah. So my infrastructure looks like this. I'm going to do this with hands because I don't have my diagramming thing yet. Bare metal. Proxmox. Virtual machine. Ubuntu. Kubernetes or Rancher. Containers. Lots of containers on top of that. That was pretty bad demonstration. But I stack those layers on top, and how about this? The only thing I ever run bare metal ever is my hypervisor. That's it. Because, I know you can have nested virtualization, and I won't go down that part. But my hypervisor is the only thing running bare metal. Everything else is virtualized. And then, if I all of my Rancher servers are running on VMs, because it's super easy. It's super easy to spin up. And then all of those containers are, if they're running on Kubernetes and they're running on inside of Ubuntu, yeah, absolutely, they're virtualized. So yeah, and then obviously the Docker host, you got to get that installed for Kubernetes to work. But yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. Let me know if you still have more questions on that. I know it seems odd, but I just go back to I let my hypervisor be a hypervisor. Nothing else. And the way, and I'm not just like drawing a line in the sand because I'm trying to be a purist. It's because I've moved hypervisors before, and if you ever go from Proxmox now to ESXi, you're not installing anything on that hypervisor. You move to some other system, a hypervisor or a Synology NAS or anything like that, you're not installing anything on that hypervisor that they don't let you, right, through plugins or extensions or stuff like that. And so that's where I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Nothing's on the hypervisor. That's it. And it just runs the hypervisor. Sorry to keep saying it, but in my experience, moving around between systems, it's so much easier to do that way. Blue Oak Warrior, your Rancher, Kubernetes, Docker, Minecraft, YouTube video got me digging into the stuff. Yes, awesome. Yeah. I know it's such a, on that video, I was just kind of like, how can I make this very dense topic, I guess kind of fun? And I was like, well, I have a Minecraft server. Let's do that. Let's mix it up. I like the juxtaposition of this really dense tech topic and a fun game like Minecraft. So yeah, thank you so much. Chicano, but with your Vixen, but with the Vixen, you add a picture of your house and decorate it. Yeah, I saw that in your screenshot. In the software, and link the lights to certain plugs so you can make the show have a preview, and that preview will remain the same in real life as long as you decorate the same plugs into the same plugs. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I saw your post in Discord. It looks sweet. I assume that was your house or a fake house. I doubt you would decorate a fake house, but it looked awesome, and I really had to zoom in and think like, oh, is this software? Oh, it is. It's like you're basically like editing the outside of your house with where the lights would go. So yeah, it looks super awesome. Mile High, Sim Guy, pretty good, hanging out in the Discord. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Your videos open a new world with Docker. Hey, thank you so much. That's yeah, thank you. I don't think you could have said it better. That's all I've ever been trying to do with this, is just expose people to new things. And I say this too, that I'm never here to prescribe or dictate architecture. I know it just sounded like it a little bit where I'm like, I let hypervisors be hypervisors, but that's my own personal experience. Just because, like I said, moving's hard. But I'm glad you found value in the video. And then it's opened your eyes to new things, because sometimes that's all it takes, is like experimenting with something new, and you're like, wow, this is really different. It's really tough, but you know what? It's I like it. And so yeah, thank you. And again, like whenever I'm like, I start to get, I never want to be all high and mighty, like I'm in some crystal palace and I have like this fantastic architecture. I don't. It's messy. There are things I should be doing, like logging, Grafana, dashboards. The things I should be alerting on, like errors or some of my services being down. So like everything I do is not perfect. It's messy. It's very imperfect and messy. I'll put it that way. So anyways, I never want to seem like I'm dictating or prescribing architecture to anyone, because you have to go with what works for you. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be the one supporting it. This is all under the umbrella of home stuff, right? So supporting stuff in your home. Obviously at work, it's a different story. Some people have to, they prescribe architecture to you, or, infrastructure already exists. But this is, just my experience at home. And yeah, so I'm glad you like it, because yeah, I for a long time, no one had any idea what Rancher was. And like I said, a buddy of mine told me about it, and I've been using it for a long time. I was just like, man, people need to know about this. I think people, So I was thinking in my head, people need to know about Rancher, but really, Rancher is giving you Docker and Kubernetes, and I felt like that's where, I can kind of introduce people to this. If I show them an easy and a pretty way to get Rancher and Kubernetes running, then they can do the cool stuff, which is, Docker containers. So anyways, thank you for that. Get wrecked. Oh, I got to get this one. Get wrecked. It wrecked. Get wrecked. That's so crazy. Has anyone nested VMs for fun? I have. I've done nested virtualization before. I've virtualized a hypervisor before with nested virtualization. I've done it. Does it work great? I don't know. But I've absolutely done it before. It's kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I did a long time ago. Techno. So I just took an air filter that we had lying around, cut it into the size of the air grill for my server. Awesome. Like an old air filter that is meant to, for a house, an AC. That's awesome. Yeah, it's especially if you have like carpet at home and servers. Carpet and servers don't get along well. Fortunately, mine's in the basement and there's no carpet down there, very little dust, and we don't have central air we don't have a furnace. I'll put it that way. So we have a boiler, and so like this is the best scenario ever. There's nothing blowing around all this dust because we have boilers. Don't have carpet in the basement. I have not had to worry about anything that a lot of people have to worry about. So. But I bet next house we will. So I'm going to have to take you up on those air filters. Yeah. John, we use Grafana at work. Have a little practice at dashboards. Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could use your help. Here we go. That one's hard to say. Crazy. I don't know what the X. Crextasy? I don't know. Are you using Ubuntu 2004? Absolutely am. Yep. I shouldn't say all but one are 2004. And it seems to work great. HomeLab new, gotcha. Are you using the host CPU setting up in Proxmox to pass through hardware virtualization features to the Docker host and VM? I am in some of my virtual machines, but I'm not on my Rancher servers. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. But my CPU type, I think, is KVM, and maybe I should change that. I haven't read enough into it. I've heard that people say to do that for like virtualizing firewalls and stuff like that because of, I think, the encryption. It can take advantage of some of that on the CPU rather than virtualizing that, so you lose a little bit of overhead. But maybe I should. To pass through hardware virtualization features to the Docker host VMs. I'm not. I think my CPU types are KVM, I think. Possibly, but maybe I should change them. John, my 10-node Kubernetes cluster is virtual. I use Proxmox and Ansible to quickly provision the Kubernetes nodes. It's fast. Yeah, I would love to see that workflow. I would love to even just like, you don't have to fully document it, but I would love to see just super high level the pieces that are involved in that, just bullet points. That would be awesome. McCraft Dan, so you said you read Rancher servers and VMs. What about Proxmox LXC containers? Is that too extreme? I think, is that too extreme? I don't know. I don't have a ton of experience with LXC. I know that some people have tried it before. I think that there was a way to get Docker installed inside of an LXC container. Is it too extreme? Yeah, I don't know. I don't use LXC containers. Would it be easy to replicate later or to reproduce? That's what I kind of go into, like the supportability of stuff. Supporting a VM with containers inside is for me pretty easy to support. I don't know how easy it would be to support, Proxmox or just LXC containers in general, and then running Rancher inside there. I mean, it might be super easy. And so that kind of gets you into bare metal land there, it's interesting to think about. I've heard people talk about maybe they've done it, maybe they figured it out, but I never heard like the result if they were able to actually do it. I'd love to know. Decano might be able to stream a bit of it in Discord, potential Twitch sub voice channel. All right, I'll try to check it out for sure. Mile High Sim Guy, A+, well-formatted videos, concise and humble. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just me. Kind of me. My videos, it's always weird. I mean, if you guys know, like recording yourself, seeing yourself, talking and hearing yourself is weird. But I think last night while I was editing, I'm kind of over that now. I'm kind of over that, like, seeing myself weirdness phase, and it's lasted a really long time. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Get wrecked, it wrecked. Just call me Git. Oh, thank you. I kind of like get wrecked. But I will get, thank you. Tuxit? Hey, haven't seen you in a while. How's it going? The Tuxit, that was the play on Tux, the penguin. Blue Oric Warrior. Is there anything out there that utilizes bare metal hardware like the opposite direction? Like, say you have a couple dozen mini desktops laying around, what is the best way to make use of hardware like that? All I've come up with so far is making dozens of nodes in a cluster in Rancher. I'm wondering if there's any way to combine resources from smaller boxes rather than big heavy server hardware. Thoughts? Yeah. That's a great question. I mean, I think you've already discovered one of those. It's just a big old Kubernetes cluster, right? But that doesn't necessarily, yeah. So a couple things there. One, you figured some of it out, right? You thought, well, I have all these devices. I can create clusters and I can spread the workload across all of these devices. But what you're not doing is possibly building, one big supercomputer, air quotes around that. I don't know of anything out there like that. Could be. And the tricky part is, how do you divide up that workload for one process across multiple things? I mean, it's the whole concurrency issue that you've got to, or the people who create these services have to figure out, right? How do all of these tiny little nodes do work and report that work back to something else and do it efficiently? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Kubernetes is the only one I can think of for that. And so then within my infrastructure, I have multiple Kubernetes nodes. I know that's not the same as having physical devices, but I mean, people have figured it out with Raspberry Pis too, right? People make Raspberry Pi clusters, right? Kubernetes. It's the same idea, but I don't know what workloads they're running on there. I would love to know, because people are like, yeah, I have this 5-node Kubernetes cluster running Raspberry Pi. I would love to see what's running under there, because at the end of the day, those containers need to be able to scale. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But most services you see people building, unless they're building their own services, they can't scale that well, unless they're like agents or scrapers or stuff like that. You see that a lot, or APIs, right? They can handle multiple requests. You can scale out and have 4 or 5, 6 of them, so they can handle tons of requests. But most of the time you don't see that, where you have services that are more stateful, I guess is a good way to put it. I would love to know that too. Kubernetes is my go-to when I'm like, hey, I have all this hardware. But I don't know what you would do across all that hardware. What services would you want to have running on there? But yeah, I'm sure something like that exists. But it would be cool to have, some, I guess, big supercomputer, but something has to be the brains or maintain the state for that whole entire thing, which Kubernetes kind of does. All right, lights. Yeah, we're back to blue and pink. Ilud, don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough. Thank you. Once it's working, you can make it better tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah. Totally agree. To kind of, we have a husky, so you can imagine. Oh yeah, going back to the filter. Yeah. Lots of shedding. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Fortunately, our dogs, we have small dogs. One does shed a lot of hair, but he doesn't like the basement. I think the servers scare him. I don't know what it is. He doesn't go down there though. Maverick, you have Siameses, 2 of them. Wow. He isn't allowed upstairs where the room server rack is, but still manages to make hair up there. Yeah, I totally agree. I probably got hair all over this thing right now, but fortunately, I think my lighting, you can't see it because my one dog, he sheds hair for sure. Just picking them up, I'm like, oh my gosh, why is it all over me? Takano, I feel your pain. Yeah. HomeLab new. Oh, whoa. Bombzy, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. HomeLab new. Thought actually, I guess Docker might not need virtualization features. Yeah, that's what I was I should have asked, but I was kind of thinking that too, because you know they're on the kernel, just like any other process. Since they're not VMs per se, yeah. They run on the same kernel, yeah. You're one comment ahead of me. Yeah, for sure. HomeLab new. CRX Tazy. All right, CRX Tazy. Oh yeah. I used to have a Honda CRX and loved the feeling of driving it. Oh, nice. Yeah, CRX. All right, CRX Tazy. Tazy? Tazy. I'm gonna go with Tazy. CRX Tazy. Yeah. Thanks for helping me. Figure that out. Because sometimes, yeah, when the casing is all lowercase or upper, I'm like, oh, how do I pronounce this thing? Takano, every day we vacuum downstairs without the fail. The whole canister gets full of hair. Yeah. Tronan, have you ever tried XCP? Yeah. I love the thought of a CentOS-based host. I haven't. I've looked into a couple times. I know a lot of people ask this too about Proxmox versus everything else, and XCP-ng usually comes up. And for me personally, right now, I pass through some of my GPUs, and XCP-ng doesn't play well with passing through NVIDIA GPUs. So I'd love to check it out. If they ever start supporting it, yeah, I'd totally spin one up. I do the nested virtualization right there. That's another great case for nested virtualization. I would spin up nested virtualization within Proxmox and virtualize XCP-ng so that I can evaluate it and see what it's all about. And then within there, spin a virtual machine. It's the rabbit hole of virtualization. But I haven't tried it. Like, it looks fantastic. I hear a lot of great things about it. Yeah, maybe once they find a way or allow you to pass through some of your GPUs, yeah, I'd love to try it. Consumer grade GPUs, I should say, because I think professional grade GPUs they figured out, or they support. I guess I should say it shouldn't be figured out. It's it's figuring it out for consumers. It's tough because of NVIDIA, and it's not the fault of the hypervisors. It's 100% NVIDIA because they don't want you to do it. Let's see here. Maverick, totally. Twice a day? Oh, I assume this is on vacuuming for your Siamese. Let's see here. HomeLab new, if you're looking to actually provision bare metal by itself, maybe something like Canonical's MAS is something worth looking at. Yeah, I'd love to look at that. I don't know what MAS is. It's probably a machine as a service or something. I'm just playing off the M. Totally guessing. But I need to look at this too, because this sounds super interesting. I'm not going to look at it now. I just note to self. I know PASS. I know SAS. I know FAS. I don't know MAS. I need to know MAS. Takano, the only thing is that I'm out of channels. We're planning on doing a mega tree with a palm tree, but that would take 8 channels alone. So at that point, used up 8 of 16 channels, plus all the lights in the house. That's another 6 channels used. So at the end of the day, I'm only left with 2 more for decorations. Thinking of going 32. Yeah, go 32, man. Go all out. I mean, if you're going to do it, you know? The PC Geek. What do you think about Rancher OS versus Ubuntu for a VM? Yeah, that's a great question too. I've tried Rancher OS before. And this was a while ago. Sorry, I have a mint that I put in, but then it just, anyway. Yeah, so Rancher OS seems awesome for the following reasons. One, because it's a pretty locked down and secure OS. They manage the version of Kubernetes, I think, in Rancher for you. You don't have to worry about getting, they keep them lockstep with compatible versions. And it's a nice OS that you could just spin up, and it's lightweight. Personally, though, I use Ubuntu only because I need a little bit more than just Rancher OS gives me. And as far as supportability, I know how to support, Ubuntu. I know the tools. I know, the, CLI or whatever you want to call it. I can install things like Z Shell instead of Bash. Those types of things that help me support my server are important to me. So I usually choose Ubuntu because, it's just another Ubuntu server. And so when I think about all the things I have to lock down, secure, how I maintain it, and even as far as installing the QEMU guest agent for Proxmox, I know how to do that. I don't know how to do that or if it's possible with Rancher OS. So you know, not saying it's bad or a bad choice, but for me, Ubuntu is the way to go because I treat it like cattle. You know, like all of my other Ubuntu servers, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know how to assign a static IP. I know how to lock it down. I know, you know, how to update it, you know, and I can use the same tools in my toolbox for that. So that's why I choose it. Not saying it's not a good choice. I've done it a couple times before, and I think you got to do the cloud init thing with YAML, and it's every time I have to do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, but I get it. But yeah, it seems okay. But I run all my own Ubuntu because I know how to manage it. Sebi, couldn't help but notice you had a WireGuard pod running. Something for an upcoming vid. Good eye. It's appeared in there a couple times. Maybe. Yeah, I've been checking it out. Let's just say that. I've been checking it out. Yeah, good eye, Sebi. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. Something for an upcoming video? 100%. Yeah, it is. Is it next? Not sure. But yeah, good question. Yeah, I have checked it out. Have it running. Yeah, good eye. And every time I see it in the video, it's popped up a couple times. I'm like, I wonder if anyone will say anything. But Sebi, yes, absolutely. That wasn't a purpose. I didn't do that hint on purpose. But yeah, it's coming. 100% it's coming. I've had it working, been playing with it. I just want to make sure it's right. I think they're going through. Let's just put it this way, they're moving really fast on this, you know, as with all software. And there are a lot of clients out there. There's one for Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, and not all of them are created or updated equally. And so, you know, I'll admit I had some problems with iOS with WireGuard, setting it up in my own infrastructure. But it's getting better every day. So yeah, something's coming for sure. Next, TBD. iLude username comes from Honda Prelude in my younger days. All right, I'm getting the history behind your guys' names. I like it. iLude, Prelude. Okay, so we have Prelude, we have CRX. I like it. Home Avenue, Metal as a Service. All right. Well, I said machine as a service, so I was wrong. But I like it. Metal as a Service. That is awesome. Spread out bare metal across like 10 devices. Yeah, sign me up because that sounds awesome for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look at this. And this is from Canonical, the same people who brought you Ubuntu, right? I assume. Blue Orc Warrior, replying back to Home Lab New. Haven't played much with MAS or anything to make provisioning side of things easier. Haven't really felt like the need since I can install Ubuntu in like 5 minutes. As far as what services I would run, all with a little desktop hardware, I don't know. Nothing's super special in mind, just kind of spitballing, daydreaming. My biggest project in the past have just been Minecraft servers. No, I like this. I like where this is going. I wouldn't have known so much about Metal as a Service. I like it. I'm definitely gonna check it out. CRX, all right. CRX Tasty, nice. Love Preludes as well. All right. Honda folks in here. Toxic. What about encrypt backup on PBS? No feature in the GUI. Is it a good option to mount Veracrypt volumes, backup Proxmox, VM, LXC on PBS? Whoa, this one's loaded. This one's deep. This one's dense. Okay, what about encrypt backup on PBS? Okay, no feature on the GUI. Agree. Is it a good option to mount Veracrypt volumes to backup Proxmox, VM, LXC on PBS? Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. So the servers I back up with PBS, I just go with what the GUI gives me. Only because like I know that they're going to be revving and changing things over time. It's still in beta, and I keep checking on it, and I keep waiting for them to release agents for every flavor of OS that's out there, because I really want to see where they're going. I think in the next beta, if it's a beta or RC that we see from PBS, I think we're going to have a better idea of what their long-term goal is for this. That being said, I haven't done any backup encryption. I just take the product for what it is and back up my VMs that way. But is it a good option to mount a Veracrypt volume? I'm not familiar with it. Yeah, I wish I had a better answer than that. Maybe when PBS gets its next update, they'll kind of pull the veil back on what their plans are and hopefully include some encryption. Hopefully that helps, Tuxit. Let me know. Techno, yeah, only downside is that the 8-channel solid state relay boards are 20 bucks each. So if you go all out, that's 80 plus cost for another 10 pack of plugs. Yeah, it gets expensive fairly quickly, it looks like. PC Geek, they have Proxmox ISO 2, so you can install for Rancher OS. Wait, they have a Proxmox ISO 2, so you can install for Rancher OS. Oh, nice, nice. True, I know Ubuntu pretty well too for the most part. Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me get a drink. Yeah, I didn't know that. That they have an ISO for it. That's super awesome and handy. But yeah, I won't. Yeah, I've done it a couple times, and I've done it enough to think like this is hard, and maybe it should be hard, but you know, it's a little too painful for me, and so I was like, man, I'll just do Ubuntu because I know how to do this, and you know, I went, and you know, even the QEMU guest agent, I want to be able to install on all my virtual machines, you know, and another reason why I choose Ubuntu usually. I'm Lymanson. What do you guys think of this server? I just picked up on eBay a Dell R710, 2 CPUs, 6 cores apiece, all right, or 720, 120 gigs of DDR3 RAM, network card with 2 10 gig SFP plus, and 1 gig, 2 1 gig ports. It's small form factor, though, 16 2.5 inch, which I didn't want for $250. All in. Yeah, that sounds like a heck of a deal, I think. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know what else to say to that. Like that alone sounds like a pretty good deal. I mean, the CPUs in there alone probably, you know, get you close to that. And the RAM too. RAM's not cheap. Even old ECC DDR3 RAM, not cheap. Toxic, be careful with the Ubuntu server and the automatic upgrade installed. Okay, it can power off a VM for upgrade reboot. Yeah, good call. I think the only one I have on is the security ones. Security only, auto patch security. And then, you know, I think it tells me that I need to reboot. I rarely reboot them unless it tells me when I SSH in. But yeah, good to know. I'm Lymanson. I really need a LFF server, but I guess I'll buy it later. PC Geek Beefy. Poop Noob. Hey, how's it going? IKJ8. How's it going? Here we go. Home Lab New. You work in grocery delivery tech, right? What makes grocery delivery tech? Kinda. I work in digital grocery. Yeah. Yeah, it's a startup I work at. Yep, does digital grocery. So we help simplify it. What makes good grocery delivery tech? So we're not on the delivery side. We do help. We work. Yeah, it's kind of complicated. But grocery in general. Well, people from work are probably watching like, oh my gosh, here he goes. No, but I'll just put it this way: grocery in general is kind of it's very complex, and people shop. People have a lot of habits, or and maintain. Where do I even begin? Yeah, just grocery in general is complex. It's broken in a lot of places, yeah, we're trying to help. And we've realized that people manage their grocery lists, the things they eat, their dietary habits or dietary preferences and habits. They all manage them all differently. And a lot of retailers or grocery grocers, you know, aren't equipped to handle some of that. So anyways, I won't go into what we do. It's out there, it's public. But yeah, it's we're trying to help simplify grocery shopping. That's our mission. And because it's very complex right now. And even if you think of yourself and you write down the things you need from the grocery store on a piece of paper, and then you go to the grocery store and then you find it, may or may not be in stock, may or may not be in sale. You know, that's it's complicated, a lot more complicated than any e-commerce thing you can think of, you know, right now. So anyways, long story short, that's startup I work at. We're trying to help simplify grocery shopping. I'll put it that way. But yeah, someone's been researching me, but I like it. Home Lab New. What about CPUs? Oh yeah, you guys are having a conversation there. Sci-Fi Jeep Guy, wonder what vehicles I like. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Sci-Fi Jeep Guy, he likes Jeeps. I love it. I love it. Tux it. Sorry, I'm French. Hey, no worries. No. You don't have to explain your nationality. It wasn't about that. I just didn't know the answer to your question. It was a very dense question, and I didn't really understand. I don't understand the PBS project. I'll call it a project because it's not fully released. I think as deeply as you do. So yeah, I would like to know the answer to that too, whether or not you can mount encrypted drives, or if Proxmox backup server is going to start providing some way to do encryption of those backups. But no, yeah, great question. It had nothing to do with what you typed. It was more to do with the topic itself. I'm Lymanson. From the listing, processor, 2x Intel. Oh, yeah. You guys are talking about CPU there. I think the only CPU is cheap since it's only a 6-core. Yeah. I think I see a lot of those come with 4 cores, though. Or either that or they replace them with 4 cores and try to sell them. But yeah. Let's see here. Sebi. Reckon that's a good deal, especially if you have that much RAM. You will have 24 vCPUs, yeah, with hyperthreading. Yeah, it's right where I'm at too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a great deal. Yeah, you guys are all agreeing that's a great deal. Did it come with iDRAC enterprise license? Yeah, good to know too. Yeah, that'd be another added bonus if it did come with it. No route. I got some servers for sale of my own. Oh yeah, here we go. Wheeling and dealing. No route is. HomeLab New, man, that was a super good deal, especially with those SFP Plus cards. They're hugely undersold that server. Great find. Yeah, I agree too. R720s, the license is part of the iDRAC board. Awesome. Just like the 710s too. Pokeballs. Do you host your firewall and a VM on a dedicated machine? Yeah, mine is actually virtualized. Yeah, so mine's virtualized. It's not on a dedicated machine. It's another optimization play for me, another power play, because I don't want another machine that's on running all the time, separate power supplies, separate hard drives, everything that comes with keeping another machine not only on, but with hardware inside. And I do have some things that I could run that are pretty efficient, but I've done it for a really long time, and it's worked out really well for me. I've done it. Yeah, I've done Untangle, Smoothwall, IPCOP, you name it, PFSense, OpenSense, and I've always virtualized them because it was easy for me to evaluate new ones if I ever wanted to make the switch. It was easy for me to set up new rules and basically have a dev firewall that if I wanted to play around with and make changes, I could, and then swap it out for the one that's in my production, which is the one that's serving the internet right now. So yeah, mine's 100% virtualized, has been for years. May not always be that way. iLoot 730s are where Dell started charging separately for the license. Good to know. So if I ever upgrade to a 730, that's where I'll have to ask that question too. I'm Lymanson. I thought so too. So I had to pick it up even if it didn't include SFF. I need a second LFF server. Just going to buy a third soon. Yeah, for sure. HomeLab New, promise I haven't been stalking you. I think you mentioned one of the previous streams. Yeah, I was just teasing you. No, I know. It's all public anyways. I mean, you could, no one's hard to find. People find me on LinkedIn all the time. That's all you got to do. Look on LinkedIn and there's everything I've done professionally. You know what I mean? So I don't mean to sound like it's a secret. I just try to keep my work stuff at least out of the stream. Not that I don't like it or I'm not proud of it or would love to talk about it. I just don't think other people are interested in it. Yeah, and so that's another thing I always have to balance too. There's like the me at work, and then there's the me outside of work, and so I never know what I can and can't say. And so, I mean, nothing we're doing is terribly secret. And I mean, obviously we have, I won't go down that path. But the public me on LinkedIn shows every place I've worked, so that's super easy to find too. But no, I was just teasing you. Absolutely, like it's super easy to find me. Womping Willow. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you. Techno. History behind my username is that it was supposed to be Tech Nano. Small tech such as SBCs, but Tech Nano is used nearly everywhere, so I settled for Techinc. But it's Techno, unless I'm pronouncing it different. Techno Tim, have you made any videos backing up your TrueNAS data? No. Nope, have not yet. And so I back up most of that data to I always want to say CrashPlan, but it's not, Backblaze. Have I made videos about it? No. Possibly soon though, because I've realized that it would be wise for me to have another local copy of my data that's in TrueNAS. And it's not because I don't have copies elsewhere, but it would be great if I had a one-to-one, another pool that was 100% synced with my current pool, just in case something went wrong. Again, my stuff is backed up offsite, but it would be nice to have yet another copy here locally, just in case like something went wrong and I could, you know, flip pools and then try to rebuild or restore the other pool in the background, instead of having to, you know, scramble and start restoring, you know, the most, you know, I basically want to avoid a true disaster recovery if something goes wrong. I'd rather have another pool sitting around here. Let's just say I'd rather have another copy of the data stored here on the network, so it's really easy just to get that data back or to swap it back rather than going over the internet to restore it. But yeah, great question. I don't have anything yet, but I've been thinking about it in the back of my head, and I need to kind of feel it out. McCraftan, probably VM. He said he has everything except a hypervisor, Proxmox virtualized. Yeah. I have everything is virtualized. The only thing that's bare metal are 2 hypervisors, because I have 2, and then what else? 2 hypervisors, and then obviously my switch. You know, can't happen. And then my Raspberry Pis. But yeah. No route. Tim, check out Picnic.app. They've a Dutch grocery delivery service. Maybe you can learn a thing or two from them. I use them regularly. So if you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll check it out. John, I'll be slow installing my Firewall OS over my spare computer, broken WAN NIC on the current. Wait. I'll be slow installing. Oh yeah. This is going back to what you were saying the other day, where you were having problems with your firewall. Your NIC, I think, died, which is very unfortunate. I'm gonna check one thing really quick because the color looks so weird. I'll figure it out later. Mile High Sim guys, saw your video running Sophos XG. How do you like it? I probably just answered this question 30 minutes ago, but I like it. I've evaluated tons of network firewalls. I settled on that for now, and that's where I'm going to be for a little while. Because it's very integrated, and you know, Sophos is a security company, and so they bake a lot of their security products directly into that firewall. So I don't have to go installing plugins and doing all of the stuff. It just comes out of the box. So I like it. Served me well. And a lot of visibility there. You can see a lot of things going on. And they have a pretty okay dashboard and a pretty good lot of great logging. So. And a lot of you know, security detection when things go wrong. So I think it's a good fit for me, for sure. Tikafu, I think it was a good deal. I got a 2R 720 XD with a few more cords. You might have paid way more, but the prices here in Switzerland are higher than anywhere else, or than somewhere else. Athik, Ahmed, can you teach Docker from scratch? Oh man, no. I'm just going to say probably not, because there's a lot of great material on just plain old Docker out there. You know, and I try not to make mine, how do I put this? I try not to make the videos or things I teach or talk about just topics in general. Most of them I try to apply them to something in real life that you may or may not want to do. And so, you know, could I do a Docker 101 video and just talk about Docker? Sure. Do I think it's interesting? I'm not sure. And it might be to some people, but for me, it might not be. Because I want to apply that, right? I want to take a piece of tech and then apply that to a real world scenario. And so Athik Ahmed, there are plenty of awesome Docker 101 videos out there. Docker even has a lot of them themselves. So, yeah, you know, Could that change in the future? Sure. If I'm hurting for topics and I think it's a real need and someone else in the YouTube community hasn't figured that out, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it. But I think there are a lot of them out there that you would learn a ton from rather than me making it. But yeah, it's a great question for sure. And also, thank you so much for the follow, Atik Ahmed. Thank you. I'm Lymanson. Makes sense to keep working and streaming separate. The teach lead from Facebook guy got fired for his YouTube videos. Yeah, yeah, I could totally, yeah, totally, I could totally see it. And yeah, I don't. I mean, well, I absolutely will not talk about anything about work that it doesn't apply to the stream. I mean, where I work may or may not apply. That's all public information. Yeah, absolutely will not talk about anything that has to do with work, because yeah, work, who wants to hear about work? No, just kidding. I love where I work, so but at the same time, I definitely try to keep those separate. Blue Orc Warrior, yep, got to keep that work life. Yeah, fun life separate for sure. Yeah, you gotta have boundaries, right? And keep work life, just keep a balance for sure. I'm Lymanson. How do you make backups with Backblaze? Are you running Windows VM across all your important TrueNAS files? Yeah, great question. Oh, sorry, this Mint. I don't even know why I keep it in. Should just chew it up. Yeah, it's a great question. So I set up. It's a little complicated. Let me get a drink. But I set up on mine. I set up. So my Windows machine has an iSCSI drive that's running through FreeNAS. And so then my Windows machine, it's I don't know if it's circumventing Backblaze. I don't want to say that because I'm not. Because, Backblaze just allows you to back up one drive, right? A single drive, a physically attached drive. Well, a physically attached drive could also include a SCSI drive. And so I have mine set up as a SCSI for a couple of different reasons, but I realize that also allows me then to tell Backblaze to back up that SCSI drive. So I'll just leave it at that. And it's not like I'm trying to circumvent anything, like I needed block storage for something else that I'm running. And so, yeah, it just worked out. Am I backing up all 10 terabytes of my stuff to Backblaze? No. There are some things that I can reproduce. There are some things I can't reproduce, and so the things that I can't reproduce, I'm sending to them, just like any backup. And plus, like, I don't think it's I don't know. I want Backblaze to survive. We saw what CrashPlan did, right? CrashPlan pulled the plug on all their home users and basically said, well, we have this new subscription and it's twice the cost, and if you want to do it, do it. If not, find somewhere else to go. And CrashPlan had to make that decision for themselves and for their business to survive. And I don't want to see that happen to Backblaze. So I'm definitely not trying to abuse their system, but that's how I have it set up. And I definitely don't back up all 10 terabytes of my stuff to them. It's just the things that I can't reproduce. Anyways. Get wrecked. My username is just got plus filter because get wrecked is obviously taken. Wrecked because I do mountain bike, rock climb. I like it. Louis Latte. Is this dog? I'm not sure. Get wrecked, LOL. Let's see here. Takano. Meant to say Takano. Just didn't seem to send. Oh, gotcha. Mile High Sim Guy. I be playing COD and listening to the stream. Oh yeah. John, yeah, Nick resets way too frequently. Was messing around with my ability to work from home. Yeah, that stinks. When you have internet problems, yeah, for sure. And you were saying it was like happening like every 4 hours or something crazy. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Takano, so for the light show, I just might run into Raspberry Pi. I might run it on a Raspberry Pi, probably switching over to Linux or Mac fully over the next week. All right, my man. I'm Lymanson. Some good 8-hour video classes for free on Docker on YouTube. Yeah, I'll PM you a video. Yes, thank you so much. Because yeah, I totally agree. There's so much great content out there already. I just try to put my spin on it, and it has to be something I'm all in with. But thank you for that. I'm Lymanson. Thanks for helping out. Takano, I wanted to do to privacy, but the one thing that really pushed me is the 10 gig NIC. Yeah. Icondaroga. Hey, Techno Tim, just bought a ThinkCenter Tiny i65T, moved my Raspberry Pi DNS WireGuard and another PC server, Minecraft server, onto this one tiny PC running Debian, Docker, and it's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those machines been getting a lot of traction, I think, since Serve the Home started talking about them. I think that's the one. Yeah, they look fantastic, and that's probably a huge upgrade over Raspberry Pi for sure, because you're going from an ARM, I think dual core, whatever one you had, to a i5, which I think is what, quad core? Or is that dual core plus hyperthreading? Can't remember. It's been a while since I had an i5. But yeah, huge boost. That's awesome. Yeah, glad you're liking it. Al, love cookies. Al, love cookies. I love cookies too. I could use cookies in my life. I'm probably not. Is it safe to install FreeNAS under Proxmox? I think so. Mine's running. I just did some crazy maintenance with it this morning, and I was like, oh gosh, is it coming back up? But I had to move my LSI card around and everything. Is it safe if done properly? Absolutely. I think so. I think I haven't figured out the source of why people are like, no. I think it has the best SEO on Google. And I think that's what it is. I think people go to Google and type, should I virtualize FreeNAS? And I think the first post comes back as someone basically saying no. And then so I think people just automatically say, nope, yeah, no, you shouldn't. But I don't think what people realize is that FreeNAS and TrueNAS has documentation on how to virtualize it on their own website. And so, I've been trying to figure out the source of this, because a lot of people are like, whoa, you're virtualizing FreeNAS. Yeah, good luck with that. And I'm like, why? I think I did it right. Anyways, and that goes into as long as you do it right? And so you want to make sure that you're giving FreeNAS direct access to the drives that you're going to create your Z pool on, or your pool in general, because you don't want to give it a virtual drives, right? You can't have any abstraction between. That was super loud. Okay. That was kind of weird. I think it was a car. Anyways, you can't have any abstraction between the drives and FreeNAS. You just can't. So what I did was I passed through my HBA controller. And so if I pass through my HBA controller to the virtual machine, now that virtual machine has direct access to all of those drives that are connected to it. And for all intents and purposes, the dangerous part of virtualizing FreeNAS has been overcome, because now that virtual machine has direct access to all those drives. And so that's what you want to think about. Like, you definitely don't want to give create virtual drives and then run, FreeNAS that way. There's all kinds of bad things that will happen. And I don't just mean bad things like the possible data loss, but I also mean like performance. Like, there's all kinds of reasons why you wouldn't do that. It's the same reason why ZFS wants direct access to your disks. And so I think that's what it all boils down to. If you're going to create a ZFS pool, you need to give the ZFS pool direct access to those disks. And the same thing goes with FreeNAS. And so if you can pass through individual drives and you want to do it that way, it's possible. What I found was easier and less to think about and manage and worry about for me was get an HBA controller, pass that through to my virtual machine, and now that virtual machine has direct access to all of those drives. And so then at that point, for all intents and purposes, everything that happens on that HBA controller is not virtualized. It's actually writing to those drives directly. So anyways, that's a long story short. And I'm still trying to figure out why everyone's like, no, never virtualize FreeNAS. And I know there's wrong ways to do it, but there are right ways too. So anyways, maybe I'm going too far off there. I'm always trying to figure out the source of this. And I think it's Google. I should Google it at some point. Should I virtualize FreeNAS and see what comes back? I bet it's a Reddit post of someone saying no. So then everyone's just like, nope, not going to do it. But yeah, like I said, TrueNAS, IX System themselves has documentation on how to do it. So if they think it's okay, they made the product, I think it's okay too, if done right. Mile High Sim Guy, Wasabi is also amazing too. I agree, that'll clear out your sinuses for sure. The PC Geek, Techno Tim, do you do anything with Python? just curious if you run any Python apps in containers. Right here, this guy right here. So do I do anything in Python? Not until about 2 weeks ago. And so, I've written a lot of code in my lifetime, especially in the last couple of years, more than the years before. Typically, I write a ton of JavaScript, so if I were to rank the code I've written in my lifetime, JavaScript, TypeScript, C#, VB, and then everything else that I just kind of played around with it. And so this last couple of weeks, I actually wrote some Python. I'm not great at it. I still have to figure a lot of it out. I mean, when people are like, yeah, if you learn one programming language, you can learn another one. And, I partially agree with that. The nice part is that a lot of the ideas and concepts in Python are very similar to I guess JavaScript or TypeScript or C# because they're all alike too. So this past couple of weeks I've written some. Is it great? The code I've written, is the code I've written great? No. Does it work? Yeah. But the part that I struggled with the most is just the tooling around it. Because that's new. No one's like, hey, this __ init __ thing. No one, no one has a great explanation of what that thing is, And I guess it would be the same if someone did JavaScript for the first time and they looked at my yarn lock or my package.json, they would be like, what is going on in here? And so I think that's where I need to spend more time is the tooling, because I love tooling for code in general. And I'm a huge fan of getting tooling right, setting up projects properly, getting them to run in CI. And so over the last couple of weeks, that's what I've been able to do. So to answer your question, yeah, I actually containerized a Python app. I figured out how to write some Python. I figured out what Flask was. I created a web API using Flask. Then I had to figure out a lot of stuff to get that to work with my React.js app, which wasn't that hard until you put all of that in one big Docker container, which was super hard to figure out. And then I got to figure out GitHub workflows. It was a great chance to say, okay, if this thing's in GitHub, I'm doing a GitHub action. And GitHub's actions are pretty awesome. Now I see why people like them. I've been doing GitLab CI for a long time. And it's awesome too. But I think GitHub actions are like next level, because you can actually share your actions with each other and they're version controlled and stuff. I'm just like, whoa. I honestly thought they were going to totally do what Drone and GitLab were doing, but no, GitHub went beyond that. Anyways, long story short, yes, I containerized my first app. It's Python, it's Flask, it's React, it's all in one. If you want to check it out, it's open source. You absolutely can. If you want to open a pull request to fix all my code, please do. But if you just want to see how I ran a CI pipeline and how I was able to containerize a Python app in a GitHub workflow, yeah, absolutely. Go out there. It's all for you. So hopefully that helps, PC Geek. Sorry, I totally geeked out on code for a minute there. Here we go. Miles, hi, Sim Guy. Yeah. If you want to pass through the drives to FreeNAS, that's the best option. Yeah, ZFS needs full access to drives. You guys are so much better at articulating what I'm saying. So thank you for that, Mile High Sim Guy. I totally agree. Icondaroga, yeah. Server the Home was an inspiration for this form factor, and Docker for you. Hey, nice. 2 for 1. All right. Yeah. Those things got super popular. I love it. I love how news travels too from the channels. I love it. Like those think centers became super popular. I'm like, oh yeah, they're coming from Serve the Home. And then there's a couple other things like that too. Like Tom with Lawrence Systems when he was talking about the ubiquity problems he was having with I think 6.20. Like all of a sudden people are like, are you having problems with ubiquity? I'm like, no, my stuff's fine. What's going on with yours? And I'm like, oh, okay. They got that from Lawrence Systems. Like it's so interesting to me. It's like this tribal knowledge that gets carried around, and I love it. Anyways, I'm geeking out about how news travels between different YouTube channels. But yeah. Anyways, hey, glad you found awesome hardware, and I'm glad you found software to pair it with Docker, because I totally think that's awesome. When you compare hardware and software together, I don't know if that's a this or a link or something, or it's like that. That's when things work best. And to be honest, that's kind of what I try to do with my channel, is pair a couple of things into a project every weekend. So that's my shtick. Techno, so what people are saying is you can just use a software called Falcon Player on the Pi. Then the Arduino is the one that is the man in the middle, which takes the serial and converts it to analog outputs. Nice, nice, man. Hey, there was a couple follows in there. Ilo Coyete. Oh, Coyete, USA. Hey, thanks for following. Appreciate it. Ile Coyete, USA. Hey, thanks for following. Appreciate it. Sorry if that's Spanish. I apologize. I tried to pronounce it the best I could. Thanks for following. Appreciate it. Welcome. Java Jenkins. All right. A language and a CI in one. Java Jenkins. I like it. Hey, and you got alliteration too. 2 J's. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see here. I'm Lymanson and Techno Tim. Did you have anything special to get iSCSI working underneath virtualized TrueNAS? Oh, yeah. Good question. I couldn't get iSCSI to work when it was virtualized under XCPNG. Bare metal, iSCSI is working just fine for me. Lulu 2. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm Lymanson. No, it worked. It worked actually really well. And I was surprised at how well it worked. Because and here's the inception part. The virtual machine that I'm running, and it's like I have the virtual machine, and that's obviously virtualized. And then my FreeNAS is also virtualized too. So everything's virtualized. It's just one big virtual party. It's one big container party, and then you got virtual machines in my stack. But no, and if you need help, I got a really quick video on it. I think it's like 3 minutes long. Hey, Mayo watching Twitch. Mayo watching Twitch. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So yeah, I hate to say, hey, check out my video, but it was pretty straightforward. You set it up in TrueNAS or FreeNAS, and then that's the SCSI, I think, initiator or something like that. And then, the virtual machine that I then connect to iSCSI is Windows, and it just worked. I pointed to an IP. I think I gave it a password, and boom, it was done. And then I said, hey, auto reconnect on login, and boom, Then I was like, okay. And then I saw it in Windows Disk Manager. I was like, yeah, I want to create a new hard drive. And it was like, here's your 23 terabyte volume. I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Anyways, yeah, check it out. Like I said, I got a 2-3 minute video on my channel. I hate that video. Well, I don't hate that video. It was my early days in YouTube, so I'm real stiff in that one, and yeah. Anyways, but yeah, let me know. Let me know if you need help, and also, yeah, in Discord too as well. I'm Lymanson. I passed through direct access to my drives and my VM as well. Just weird it wasn't working for me. Oh yeah, no problem. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent on that, Emma, about virtualizing TrueNAS, but I want to find the source to this and reply to it and being like, I do it and it's great. Or have my own post somewhere else where my SEO beats out that one. Or IX Systems' own documentation has better SEO and beats out those no's. But anyways, I'm speculating on where this source is coming from. Blue Orc Warrior, if you virtualize FreeNAS, does that not count as nesting VMs when you're running jails? Yeah, good question. Good question. This goes back to kind of my my separation of concerns. And so, yes, absolutely. Would it be nested virtualization? I think so. But I don't use jails in FreeNAS or plugins. I think the jails and plugins are actually, they're jails on BSD. I don't know if those are actually virtualized or not. I don't know if they're one-to-one like Docker containers. I don't know enough about them. In my head, they're Docker containers and not actual virtual machines. I thought you were talking about the actual virtualization side of that within FreeNAS. But again, this is where I'm for me personally, I just let my NAS be a NAS. I just let my NAS be a NAS all day. And I don't do any of the jails, plugins, virtualizations, all that stuff. Just give me network attached storage. And so you're right, if you did virtualize FreeNAS and then you did run VMs in there, absolutely that'd be nested virtualization. Might not even work unless you have nested virtualization working. I don't know about the jails and plugins. To me in BSD, FreeBSD, jails are Docker containers. I don't know if the tech is the same or if they're truly virtualized or not virtualized, but Docker containers aren't. So yeah, that's a great question though. Techno 10 Mile High Guy. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Al love cookies. Hey, sorry if I was a little bit too fired up about that one. Mayo, watching Twitch. Hey, new to your stream. What's happening? What happens here? All kinds of stuff happens. People talk about tech projects that they're working on. People ask questions about just tech in general. People change the lights in my room. Lights are flashing back there for different events. Just a big conversation, I think. It turns into a couple-hour conversation. To me, it's one big one. To others, it might be many small ones. But to me, it's one big one. But welcome, Mayo. Sorry I didn't get to your comment till now. And that's another thing I should add too is if you write a comment, within reason, I'm gonna answer it and follow up. Sci-Fi Jeep Guy, have you ever seen Backblaze hard drive stats? They share the reliability reports. Yes, I have. Quarterly. Yeah, I have. And it was a while ago. And they would talk about which ones didn't work, which ones didn't work. I've seen them before because they're super interesting. They would post them, I think, on their blog or backblaze.com. But I have before. Haven't recently. Yeah. Miles High Guy, thanks. Mile High Sim Guy, thanks for following up with her or with Mile. Let's see. The PC Geek, same. They probably sponsored the post once in a community made a mess out of it. You couldn't do it. Yeah. I think so. Get wrecked. First revolt for me is yes from IX Systems. Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was always that way, but yes. And maybe IX Systems put that in their documentation. Maybe they didn't have that in their documentation for a long time, but I remember seeing it, and I'm like, why is everyone like? I felt like people were attacking me when I said I was going to virtualize it. They're like, you're going to have nothing but problems. That is not going to work. And I'm like, what? Why? How is it any different if you do it right? Anyways, awesome. IX Systems, their documentation. Yes, SEO. Gotta love SEO. Everyone go to Google, search for that, and then click on that link because that's a signal to Google to say that's the right answer, or at least people are interested in it. Anyways, iLude, learning a new programming language is all about fun and games until you decide to learn Lisp. Yeah, totally. I don't know enough Lisp. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. Dang, iLude. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Let me. I don't know what's going on with the music. That was way too chill. iLude, 5 gifted subs. Oh my gosh, dude. Thank you so much, iLude. 5 gifted subs. Let's see here. Boardwalk, Honey, Homeboy, Icondaroga, Dynons. I'm gonna go with that. And the PC Geek. Enjoy your gifted sub from iLude. Dude, thank you so much. Man, you guys are, thank you so much. Wow. And the alert keeps going. Yeah, thank you. Oh man, you guys are awesome. Choyway, if __name equals __ main, the weirdest things ever. Yeah, this is going back to Python. A lot of things I there are patterns in there that I'm just like, that's a pattern, and I'm just gonna kind of ignore it for now. Make it work until it works. And yeah, that's it. I don't understand either. Unless you're talking about Lisp, because right away that's starting to look like what I was going through with Python, where I see __init __.py, and I'm like, I'm just going for it. Dalcoa, don't you dare ditch Team GitLab CI. Never. I never will. I shouldn't say never, but yeah, I've been doing GitLab for years and years and years. A majority of my code is on GitLab over GitHub, mostly because they allowed private repos for a long time, and they had CI built in, so it was a win-win. But I got a taste of GitHub Actions, and I was like, oh, this is the next evolution of CI, where people can share their CI pipelines. Because in GitHub, and I won't spend too much time on it, GitHub, it was awesome because I'm like, okay, in this Docker step, you can see it in the repo for the thing I just released today. In the Docker step, how do I build a Docker container? And it was like, right away, you're just like, use GitHub Actions v.2 use, something like, use Docker GitHub Action v2. And within 3 lines, I could create, build, publish a Docker container. And I was like, And I'm like, who owns this action? Like, what is this action? Docker themselves. I'm like, this is awesome. And so now they have a marketplace for actions, which, you know, you think of marketplace, things you buy. Well, you don't buy these things. They're just, it's like a mini app store for CI, where you're like, yep, I want to post a Slack notification. Well, Slack has their own actions, and you want to publish something to Docker. Docker themselves have their own actions, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is like CIV, I don't know, 2 or something, but really awesome. But it's proprietary, right? I mean, it's a GitHub thing, but I think they really, I don't want to say they rethought CI. But they basically sprinkled a lot of sprinkles on top of CI, and I think it's really awesome. Because right now when I do build and deploy and publish Docker containers, I copy and paste 20 lines of scripts. Who knows if that's going to work next time? And I just go and put it in every CI. This kind of goes back to what Creepinson was talking about in our Discord today. You know, why do I have to copy and paste like 10 lines of this stuff everywhere? You know, in order to get one thing to work. And, you know, sometimes you have to do that in CI. It's just, you know, it comes with it. But I think that's what GitHub is trying to prevent, is that you have these bash scripts. You have like these bash scripts that contain all of this business logic. And so what they did with GitHub Actions, at least my understanding of using it for, you know, I used it for many hours because I had to figure it out. But once I did, I realized like they've encapsulated that business logic, those actions into one thing, and they maintain it, and you just have to give it a couple parameters. Yeah, I mean, it'd be like if you fed something YAML and you only filled in the YAML pieces. You're like, yep. You know, checking check boxes, filling in, you know, forms, kind of idea. Anyways, I thought it was really cool. My first experience with it, but I'm not leaving. I love GitLab. GitLab, I love it. Hi, Lude. I think that's weird. You've never seen Perl. Oh, you guys are. Oh yeah. Oh, Perl. If you think that's weird, you've never seen Perl. I've seen very little Perl, and I don't even remember what it's for. I think it was like something to do with some CMS system, either that or it was like Webmin. I think Webmin was the web UI over Linux, and I think they used Perl in there, and that was before I was even a programmer, so I was like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Maya watching Twitch. I'm really trying to get into coding, mainly web development, and I've been fiddling around with CSS and JavaScript, and mainly trying to work on the creative side of web development. Would you have any suggestions? Yeah, so Maya, hopefully you're still here. Let me grab a drink. So my thing is, at least the way I learn, is to not dive into, hey, I want to like master JavaScript, and then I want to master CSS, and then I want to learn a ton about HTML. At least the way that I learned fast was kind of take a step back and think about like something you want to create or do. And if you are thinking about doing web development and you're thinking about front end, a real easy way to get started is with React. React is super popular. I know there are other front-end techs out there, and people, you know, love Vue, love Angular. But for me, I love React. I honestly do. I love it. If you want to get started really quick, there's this thing called Create React App. It's called CRA. And in a couple of commands, you can spin up a fully fledged React website that you can run on your machine. I mean, it will literally take 60 seconds. And within 60 seconds, you have a React application running on your machine that has CSS, that has quote unquote HTML, it's JSX, and then it has JavaScript. And from there, when you spin it up and run it, you can make changes and start to create your own website. And so if you learn by doing and learn by exploring and experimenting, I think that's a great way to go. If you learn by reading or listening, you know, obviously there's books out there. I think some of the ones that I read back in the day are probably dated now, but there's tons of free information out there. Oh gosh, I forget his name. I can't even remember. Huge JavaScript guy. He works for PayPal now. Anyways, there are a lot of people out there in the community who know JavaScript that have created a lot of video tutorials. I know a lot of people here in the channel too recommend Udemy for a lot of things. I've had a lot of luck with Pluralsight when I wanted to get started with stuff. And for me, I haven't done a ton of Udemy, but I've done a ton of Pluralsight stuff. Obviously, you know, choose the way you learn. But if you learn through video, there's plenty of options out there. If you learn by reading, obviously a lot of options, a lot of blogs, a lot of stuff that's out there. If you learn by doing, I think Create React App is a great way to start. And you know, it's created by the Facebook community. React is in general. But if you just Google Create React App, you can have a website in React running on your machine in just 60 seconds. But yeah, hopefully that helps. And if you are going to continue being a developer, it just takes a lot of persistence. You just got to keep at it every day. Keep at it. Hopefully that helps. Java Jenkins. You might be the first ever to catch that. What, Java Jenkins? Java, like the language and the CI system, and then alliteration, 2 in a row. I like it. Oh, Blue Auric Warrior, are you kidding me? Is it Wile E. Coyote? Oh, but there's no, yeah, but there's no Wile E. Coyote. Yeah. I see it, but I thought, I was trying to put my own spin on it. Like Ile Coyote. I hope it's not Wile E. Coyote, because then I just made a fool of myself. But it does start with a Y, so I don't know. I was just throwing my own spin on it, just trying to mix it up. Techno, so it's nearly the same as Vixen. Only the difference is that Vixen is a sequence editor, player, preview maker, while Falcon Player is not only a sequence player. Gotcha. No editing of any kind. That's super interesting. Yeah, man, you are deep in this stuff. You're gonna start like being a consultant for Christmas lights here soon. I'm Lymanson, +1 to what you said about separation of concerns. Seemed really weird to me why TrueNAS has the concept of JLVMs. I totally agree. They should focus on storage solution. 100% agree too. I 100% agree on that. I do think with scale, they're going to be doing some different stuff too, where they're going to be using real Docker. They're going to be using KVM. I think those things are going to be there, but I think they're going to lean into those technologies for other reasons, I think. But we'll see. I'm Lymanson. Yeah, look at that. Explode. Man, did I just get the gifted sub? You did. The PC Geek. I'm sure you saw me talking in the Discord about my R710 I ordered arrived damaged. Yeah, I did. It was like the back was bent or broken. They're going to send me a newer one with less RAM, so I get to keep the 32 gigs. The broken one had, plus I have 56 gigs in the new one. Yeah, nice. Yeah. PC Geek, 125 bucks. Nice. Pokeballs. What made you switch from PFSense to Sophos? I'm installing Sophos. Give it a shot. Migrate to PFSense. I think I've answered this question 3 times in here today. I'll just keep it at evaluate them all. Works what best for you, at least for today, because I've already answered that question a couple of times. But it boiled down to what I needed and what I expected out of my next firewall. And so I like any of my infrastructure, I'm always like on a chase, right? To find the best thing for me. And I've done it with hypervisors, I've done it with network firewalls, I've done it with lots of stuff. And so it ended up working out great for me. But yeah, if you're installing Sophos now, give it a shot. You don't like it, it's too complex, it's weird. Yeah, try PFSense for sure. Shadowfax. Will you, or do you think you'll have any merch? I think it'd be cool to have some dope stickers. Hey, thank you. I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it, but I think I need to figure some stuff out first. I would, but I don't want to. Yeah, one, I don't want to commit to something, and 2, I don't want to give it all away. But yeah, I would like to. But at the same time, you know, I just have to figure out what's appropriate for merch. You know, do you want a Techno Tim sticker? Maybe not. But I might have something in that vein too. But yeah, great question. I haven't put a ton of time into it because all of my time right now goes into 1, figuring out the video I'm going to do, 2, implementing it, and then 3, making that video. So I'm trying to focus solely on my content right now, especially in live streams, obviously too. But yeah, definitely possibilities for that. I just, I want to make sure it's right. I want to make sure it's right. And I don't want to do it if it's not. So yeah, Shadowfax, thank you. Appreciate that though. Mile High Sim Guy, HTML to React, the ultimate guide is a good book. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I struggle with the reading about code though piece. I've tried it a few times in my life and I'm like, yeah, but that's not me. I learn by doing, by taking some problem I have and transforming it into code. Here we go. Get wrecked. My CF professor learned the hard way in a computer architect class that Verilog may look like C, but doesn't behave like C. We are using FPGAs instead of microcontrollers. Also, yeah, that seems super hard. I can't imagine how anyone had to ever program back in the day before the internet. Because I'm like, oh, yeah. Just think about like even anything digital, just being able to like do code reviews. Your code reviews are printing out a piece of paper and everyone looking at it. Anyway, I'm going too far. But yeah, it would have been tough back then. Mayo, hey, here we go. You're still here. Yes, thank you so much. That really helped out. I've almost finished school and I picked up interest in web development and enjoying it so much. Thanks so much for your advice. I'll look into CRA. All right, you got the acronym down. You're already there. You got the acronym down because it is called CRA. And if you want to learn some other stack, Vue probably has one. If you want to learn Angular, from Google has one too. It's I don't mean to prescribe. Again, don't want to prescribe, your software architecture, but I think it's a great place to start. And there's a huge community around it. And the job market for it is like crazy. Everyone wants front-end devs. But anyways, Luco Mo, hey, that looks new. Hi, I will drop my tech support job next year to focus on full-time learning code, focusing on web dev. Any study material recommendation? Yeah, we just kind of talked about that. I don't have, for me, I wasn't always a programmer, not that anyone was, but I didn't go to school for it myself. And I started out in IT as, I guess, an IT professional. Started out, in infrastructure, tech support, really, then infrastructure, and then moved all around quite a bit. So for me, I didn't get, for me, I don't learn from reading most of the time. I can read to understand like a concept. But for me, I learn by doing and creating things and debugging, especially with programming. If you're going to go into programming, you got to debug. I can't debug a book, right? I can't step through code in a book and like inspect my whole entire environment as I'm programming. And so for me, it was always just like, okay, let's pick a project or a tech or a language that I want to learn about. Grab their hello world, but don't do the full hello world. Once you have that, then try to solve a problem. Let's parse this, whatever, text file. Let's find this response and parse that. Let's post to an endpoint. Let's create a record in a database using the code that I have here. And so that's the way that I've learned. And so I wish I had better advice. And I'll put this down as a note to myself. Learning materials, because I think this would be helpful. And I'll try to include some learning materials at some point that I can point to and say, hey, here's what I think would help. Yeah, for me, it's been a lot of doing for me. And and if you are thinking about being a software developer, a lot of it is troubleshooting and debugging code. It's not only writing code, but it's also stepping through and debugging code. And for me personally, I learned how to program by debugging. And this was because I worked for a large company. They had a lot of existing code and bugs would come in and I would have to try to figure them out. And so for me, it was just like, okay, put breakpoints everywhere. Hopefully I hit those breakpoints and then see what's going on in the code. And so a lot of the times I wasn't even writing code. I was debugging code to then fix the code. And that's a lot of programming too. Not only creating the thing, but then supporting the thing and debugging it afterwards. And so that's how I learned a lot. It was on the troubleshooting end was, how do I support this thing and how do I debug it? People used to make fun of me because they would walk up and see my IDE and they would be like, dude, you have like 30 breakpoints in your code. I'm like, I'm just trying to understand this thing, man. They wouldn't make fun of me, but they would be like, geez, breakpoints. And it's like, well, first of all, I've never seen this code before. I don't even know where the entry point is on this code. When a web service hits it, this was years ago. But anyways, totally. Luco, I hope that helps. I'll have some materials soon. If it's stuff on the web, I'll put it somewhere where people can find it. If it's for purchase, I'll put it in my gear links for sure. Because I think that's important too. Just because I don't learn that way, doesn't mean that everyone should learn that way. So I should find some materials then too. So people don't have to stare at screens. They can read books, because that's not on a screen most of the time. But hope that helps. I'll have some more. Come back. I'll have some more for sure. Why drop your day job? Keep the money flowing and keep picking up new skills. Yeah, that's a good point too. Because man, it's scary not having a job. Techno, what Linux version would be recommended for desktop use? I'm thinking of using plain old Ubuntu. I agree with that too. I use plain old Ubuntu when I want to, just because the support is it's incredible. How much, how compatible and how many things support it. And at the end of the day, I use Ubuntu server too. So it's like, okay, if I drop into a terminal, I know exactly my way around. I know the package manager, all the things I know about Ubuntu server apply to Ubuntu desktop, except for I have a GUI. That's it. And so that's why I choose it too. Tuxit, best way to learn is to do it, break it, learn it, share it. Yeah, twist it, bop it, turn it, share it. No. Best way to learn is to do it, break it, learn it, share it. Yeah, sysadmin rules. I like it. Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Pop OS. Yeah, Pop OS is pretty good too, based on Ubuntu, I think. Get wrecked. Gen 2. All right, we got lots of suggestions. I didn't think about Pop OS. We'll definitely keep that in mind. I'm already comfortable with Linux, so I'm down to try anything. Manjaro. Go with Manjaro. I don't know. A buddy of mine's always just like diehard Manjaro. No route. Professional programmers. Breakpoints everywhere. Me. Print. You got here, so you're good. No, I'm totally guilty of that too. And especially on web development too. A console log everywhere. So I'm a console log and a debugger everywhere person when I debug JavaScript. If you type in debugger, when Chrome sees that, if the dev tools are open, it'll stop. Yeah. So I'm right there with you too. But I console log the heck out of everything too. I do too. Rather than put in a breakpoint and then in the breakpoint evaluate stuff, I'll log it out instead because it's easier. Luke Mo, my day job is so much stress. I have to deal with 4 customers at the same time, chat for 7 hours a day. So at the end of the day, I'm burnout. I'm thinking I have peace of mind to study and grade, and I'll have some money. 2 years at least unemployed. Man, that's a big leap. Not a huge leap, but I commend you. That's very brave. I'll say that. Going without income for 2 years, but I definitely hope. I wish the best for you. Hope it works out. But it's awesome. I don't know. I love developing software. But I do a lot of other things too. So yeah. Get wrecked. Lucky. I get 1 break point. LOL. 16-bit micro. Oh yeah. Oh, I have so many breakpoints. People laugh at me. They're like, "Why do you have so many?" Or "Why do you?" I mean, this is when I did .NET stuff. Now it's since I do mostly front end stuff, I type in debugger everywhere. So people are like, why is debugger everywhere in the code? Linux Mint, yeah, another good one based on Ubuntu as well. I use Linux Mint for an older machine as well. Completely forgot about that. Uses Arch Linux. Oh yeah. Well, Linux Mint is Ubuntu, I thought. Blue Oak Warrior. Mint I remember was awesome because they basically included all the optional packages, so you didn't have to install all the tell Ubuntu to install all the third-party stuff. Plus, it had a nice like kind of gunmetal grayish green tint. It was nice. Blue Oak Warrior. For me, I started learning coding stuff. Prior to that, most experience I had with coding was just basic BAT and BB script. Yeah, right there with you, man. So in coding camps, I learned to write alongside middle school teachers, high school, basic HTML, JavaScript. Yeah, great way to start. Totally agree. I was in tech support, did a lot of automation. So I did some VB stuff, I did some scripting stuff, ton of batch stuff, CMD. And then I was like, I just went from there. I'm like, okay, no more scripting for me. I want to do object-oriented programming. Hani, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. PC Geek, I believe Mint is based on Debian. I love Mint. Oh, interesting. I thought for some reason it was Ubuntu. I might be wrong. Well, Ubuntu is based on Debian though, right? I always say Debian, and people say Debian. I don't know which one it is anymore. But yeah, yeah, for sure. No route. I use Debian for servers and Ubuntu for my desktops and laptop. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what OS you are as long as you get the job done. Yeah, that's me too. Right? Yeah. Best tool for the job for you. Right? I always, yeah, it's another filter I put on there too for you. Hey, I'm caught up on comments. It's Rolly. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Celtic, 426. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. No route. Oh yeah. Bye guys. So no route Debian is short for Deborah, on Ian. So Deb, oh, not Debian. All right, Debian. I'm saying Debian for now on. Thank you for the history. Akandaroga, bye guys. It's been an excellent stream. Going to bed. Yeah, thank you. Get wrecked. Linux Mint switch from Ubuntu to Debian because I think snaps. Okay. So you can tell it's been a while since I used it. Hey guys, I'm caught up. The PC Geek found a post on Reddit that had all the details on starting an R10 as a home lab server. Boom, now I'm done. Okay, yeah. Hey, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I have had a fantastic time with you guys. Man, I've been talking a lot, but I do need to wind this down. I understand that you guys probably have a ton of stuff to say, and you are absolutely free to talk on my channel even after I stop the stream. Probably wouldn't be fun, but if you want to continue the conversation somewhere else, we have a Discord server. So in that Discord server, people talk about this kind of tech stuff all the time. Yeah, Takano is on it. Takano knows my segue now. But we have a Discord server. People talk about all kinds of stuff, from the same things we're talking about here today to things that are high tech, low tech. We have anything you can think of, from dogs to memes to cat pics. To super high tech stuff, IoT, security. And what you also find in here that I think is fantastic is people helping people. So the same kinds of problems that you're running into, other people have run into or have figured out themselves. So I highly recommend that if you are into that kind of thing, yeah, totally check out our Discord server. Takano posted it there. Man, I will be back Tuesday evening, 7 Central. And then I will see you guys then. Man, you guys are awesome. There were lots of follows, lots of subs, lots of gifted subs. Can't even say it. But I thank you so much. And most of all, just, yeah, thanks for being here and hanging out. You guys have a great day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy finishing up whatever project you're working on, even if that's painting, or if it's new servers. If it's new servers, I'm super jelly because I only have old server. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you guys Tuesday night, 7 Central. Have a great night. Be good to each other.